Welcome to episode 85 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dilz, and with me is Mr. Deagin.
Hey, how's it going?
Going's pretty good. We got quite an exciting week this week. We got some updates on the Theater of Blood, the new raid coming out in June. We got some changes to the clan chat, some new restrictions being added in. We got an update to the first raid, Chambers of Xeric. We finally got our challenge mode. Some more information on Runefest 2018. And last but not least, of course, the third-party client drama that we saw this week.
Oh yeah, it'll be a juicy one.
Oh yes, sirree, Bob. But before we get into all that, let's hear how your week went.
Yeah, good question, I guess. Fuck, what did I do this week? I started playing my pure a little bit, and I tried going for, was it 61 range, 44 fire cape, sorry.
Oh, yeah, that is right. You were streaming that. I watched some of it.
Kept fucking up. Off stream, I got a little bit further. So on stream, I got to like wave 45, I think was like the wall, which is the mage and double rangers.
Right.
I got a bit further on off stream, but it's kind of hard because, well, one was 61 range. I guess 61 to 63. Those are like the levels I was getting. And 44 prayer. One is like you kill the majors and stuff so slowly that you kind of have to pray flick your prayer. And if not, then you're just not gonna have enough prayer for Jad. And then the rangers hit so hard, and I had 51 HP or something, and they max 14s on me. Shit, and so okay. Wave 45 when there's two rangers and a major, I'm getting hit upwards to 28 at a time.
Do you know how other accounts are able to do that? I know you can tick eat. I know there's prayer flicking.
You pray flick and you tick eat.
So you do a little bit of both.
Depending on which ticks the rangers are attacking and whatnot. If you have time to pray mage and then range, you probably want to do that.
Right.
But if they're attacking the same tick, you kind of have to tick eat.
Right. Okay, so in case you don't know, tick eating is when you eat right on the tick that you take damage. And since you can't go in negative health, it takes you down to 0 health, but then you're healing yourself a couple HP, so you're always at 2 health.
So it depends on what food you eat, on how much you heal, but yeah, the way it works is that you don't get hit more than what your current HP is in PVM. In PvP it's a bit different, and Inferno it's a bit different. You can't tick eat the Inferno. So if I have 10 HP and I tick eat, then I can only take 10 damage. So if I eat at the right tick, I'll heal, whatever. Let's say it's a purple sweet, I'll heal 1 to 3 health, and I'll be at 1 to 3 HP, and I can just keep doing that pretty much forever.
So the idea is to tick eat, and then you would shoot right after you eat? I don't know how that works, how you're able to not die, but at the same time deal out damage.
If you have one prayer, then you kind of have to, safe spot them, and then peek out. It's kind of when you're doing, I don't know, Calphi Queen, or I don't know, some sort of boss where you stand under them, and then you jump out and hit them and run under them.
Yep.
And if you do that quick enough, they don't hit you, and if you wait long enough in between each attack, it's kind of like that, where you have to wait for your, attack to be ready, and then you would, pop out and, dark bow spec them, or whatever. You do whatever, and you'd hit them and then tick eat it, and then go back and hide. But with 44 prayer, I have to pray flick and tick eat, and I have to run between certain locations and get and pull them into certain areas of the fight caves, and then make it so I'm only getting attacked by one type of attack. So mage or range, and I can sit there and pray flick and then kill them.
God, what a pain in the ass. So a quick explanation of prayer flicking in case you don't know what that is. Similar to tick eating, but instead of eating, you're basically switching your prayer, trying to defend against 2 different attacks, right? So if they're maging you and you're ranging, you would quickly pray mage and then quickly pray range to block both of them.
Yeah, or there's a method where you turn your prayers on and off at specific times. I'm not the best at it. I need to work on it a bit more. Where you double click your prayers and you don't lose prayer points. You'll see Deadman mode streamers pray flicking and stuff like that, and Iron Man do it all the time to save prayer points. You set up your quick prayers and you just you just sit there and double click over and over again. And
yeah, what some people will do is they'll spam it as well, which kind of makes it only work 50% of the time, but you save 50% of your prayer, I guess. I don't know. I've seen some people just spam clicking their prayer on and off, so I've tried that, but I noticed that it's not always going to be blocking their attack because you're spam clicking it. So there's a good chance you're going to miss.
Yeah. So pretty much my fire cape was unsuccessful.
So what was the final wave you got to?
I had it written down, but I didn't save the notepad.
I think I watched you get to like 45.
Yeah, 45 was my last attempt. I did like 40, and then 40 something, and then 45, and I kept fucking up tick eating. On the 45, I messed up the lure. I messed up the lure super hard, and 2 ranges and a major just, destroys you. It's really tricky. I don't know. I got like in the 50s somewhere, because after 45, it gets a bit easier up until 53, but I didn't make it to 53. And that's because, the rangers and the mealeers and all that stuff. But even then, I'm not prey flicking enough or well enough. So even if I were to live to Jad, I'd have no resources to actually kill him.
But you know the strategy on what you have to do? Like, you've watched other people do it on similar accounts? Does it just come down to your execution?
Yeah, and just being comfortable with understanding where the positions are. And I gotta learn rotations and whatnot, because there's set rotations within the fire cave and stuff, or the fight cave.
It's like doing the fight cave for the first time all over again.
Yeah, it's a little tricky.
Jad hands are making another appearance.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm gonna wait till I'm 64 range. I'm almost there, so I'll probably do one more attempt, then go 64 range, and then get a dragon crossbow on him, and then just dragon bolts, and I'll see how that works.
So you need 64 range for a dragon crossbow?
Yeah.
And you need 61 for a rune crossbow?
Yeah.
What happened there?
They can't do 71 because Carol's, I guess. I don't really know.
No, it'd be Armadillo, wouldn't it?
Yeah, or Arma.
Because that one's stronger than the dragon. I guess they didn't really plan that one out.
No, they kind of just threw it in, but it's not a big deal. The main thing is that you get to use better bolts. That's the main reason. What would be really exciting is I could bring in the dragon diamond bolt ease.
Right.
And that will help a lot. It's super expensive. I was testing out different inventory setups, and I used Onyx bolts one run, and that attempt was 1 mil, just gone. 1 mil in bolts gone. I can't even sell them back.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I remember back in the day, back in the 2005 era, or around that time, since a lot of items that currently are the meta for doing Jad, they weren't released in the game back then. And what people would use is full Guthans with a Carol's crossbow, which it's expensive using those bolts as well, since they're so hard to get. Well, they're a pain in the ass to get. I shouldn't say they're hard. And then on top of that, yeah, you're still using Cerebrews and Super Restores. But I remember doing it back then and having so much trouble because it would take me 8 attempts. But then on top of that, you have all this damaged Guthans gear and Carol's crossbow, and then you've wasted so much. I remember spending 5 mil, which was a lot of money back then. It was rough.
Yeah, the good old days. But, so besides that, I haven't really played my Pure too much because I need to make a bunch of money because Raids 2 is coming up. It's coming out in 2 weeks?
Something like that, yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks, and I still need 160 mil. For my max gear. I'm at 3 mil right now.
Nice. What max gear are you saving up for?
I just need the Arcane Shield and Ancestral Hat.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have a T-bow or an Ellie, but I consider those luxury items.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm pretty far away, and I've been doing a bunch of raids. I did my New Year's resolution goal of 250 raids.
That was quick, not bad. 6 months? That's all right.
Yeah. If we're gonna be technical, 5.5 months. It was, did a little stream event for that, and then I've done a bunch more since then, so I'm at 260 kill count.
Nice.
I haven't gotten a drop in my name in 60 fucking raids.
Oh boy.
It's been 56 raids since I've seen an item that I've gotten 5 mil plus from. Everything is a 2-3 mil split. I'm getting arcane scrolls and harpoons at the asshole. It's so annoying. It's really obnoxious.
Welcome to the Dilz RNG lifestyle.
Just super unlucky. it's so much time being spent that it's like, fuck, if I put that time into Vorkath, that's 120 mil instead of none because I have to buy supplies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of doing all those raids and just doing Vorkath, I would have almost had my shield by now, but whatever.
Just the way she goes.
Oh, I'll get a hot drop at some point. I'm actually like debating on once I get like 50 to 60 mil, just selling my hunter crossbow and buying my hat and my shield and then saving up for an elder maul and just getting that and just like kind of ignoring the hunter crossbow. Get like get my ACB back and get my what's it called? Elder maul.
What's the Elder Maul for?
Raids, challenge mode raids, and then...
Is that for one specific boss? Like, I know you would use it probably for Tecton.
Yeah, use it for Tecton. If you're in solos, you use that to run the head. But pretty much for challenge mode Tecton and running the head. I could probably even maybe do solo Tecton too, depending on the layout. I'm not really too sure, though. And then might need it for raids too as well. You don't know.
Yeah, you really have no idea.
Yeah, because as of right now, you use it for Rev Caves, running the hand, and Tecton.
Maybe PKing.
Yeah, and PKing, I guess.
Yeah, even still, there seems to be better alternatives for the most part.
Anyways, I also did some challenge mode raids. I guess we'll talk about that later. I think that's it.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, what about you?
My week, it's been alright. So first things first, non-RuneScape related, but still gaming related. I went out and bought Civilization 6. I'm a huge Civilization fan. I had the 5th one. I was playing that on my other monitor while I did whatever it is in RuneScape. Civilization is like a really good side game to play, or RuneScaping the side game, whatever your perspective is. But since it's turn-based, it makes it really easy just to bounce back and forth between the two games. But the problem was, in Civilization 5, you're able to put in like windowed borderless mode, so you have it full screened. And at first, I was able to slide my mouse cursor over to RuneScape, no problem. And then I would just have to make sure my computer is like focusing on Civilization when I want to move around in the map. And I would use the arrow keys. But the only problem is, I don't know what happened, but at some point, something did. And I wasn't able, like, my cursor would be locked onto the Civilization 5 game. And I couldn't scroll off of it unless I did Alt-Tab. Now, I know you could go into the menu and change it from whether or not your mouse cursor is locked onto the game or not. But for some reason, mine was clicked to never be locked onto the game, but it would still be locked onto it. And if I did Control-Tab, or is it Control-Tab? No, it's Alt-Tab, to go to my next game, RuneScape, my cursor would then be locked to the RuneScape screen. And I couldn't get out of that window. And since I have like some stupid ADD or whatever it is, I have my RuneScape to half a screen on my other monitor, and then I usually have Netflix going as well. I got 3 things going at once. Made it really annoying to navigate on my one computer monitor where I had both RuneScape and Netflix or YouTube playing. So, yeah, I stopped playing that game, even though I was a big fan of it, just because it was just pain in the ass to be able to bounce back and forth.
Did you have it on full screen?
I tried full screen afterwards and going back to windowed mode. I don't know what it is.
There's something you can download that, like, it does full screen borderless, but it can fix issues. I forget what the program's called, but you just download that and you can set it up for your Steam games.
I had one called Dual Monitor Tools. I'm not sure if that's the one you're talking about, but you're supposed to be able to move from one monitor to the other, even if it's in full screen, using the settings on that program. For some reason, I couldn't get it to work. Like I said last week, I'm not the brightest when it comes to this type of shit, so I don't know. I would Google looking for a fix. A lot of people had similar problems, but a lot of the solutions were go into the settings and change your mouse cursor to never be locked onto your Civilization game. But that never fixed it for a lot of people, and that's where the problem I had. And I couldn't figure it out because it was working fine, and then something happened. I don't even know what it is. Just one day I loaded it up, and I had this problem. So, yeah, I was struggling playing that. So I went out. Eventually, I was craving Civilization again, and I bought the 6th one because I saw it was on sale, and I thought, I just prayed it did not have this problem because then I just wasted like $30. I would have just refunded it, but still. Anyways, yeah, I got the game. It works fine. hopefully it doesn't fuck up on me like the last, like a week from now, it just randomly fucks up again. But yeah, I've been playing that. It's all right. Although I don't know if I enjoy it more than the 5th one because it seems a lot different.
I mean, I like Civ 6.
Do you like it more than the 5th one?
No, I don't know. They're both just, I like them. I don't have like a favorite. I don't like one over the other. I like them both.
I just find them different because with Civ 5, you could build everything in one city. You could just keep building shit as long as you had the science upgrades for it. But with Civ 6, you have like districts you need to plan out. And it takes a little bit more strategy, which is probably great in long term. But like, if you're someone like me that just wants to plop it up and just go to town, like I'm doing a lot of things. So I'm like, am I fucking myself over? Am I doing this properly? Like, do I need to go read and watch a guide on the meta of Civ 6? It's not bad. The graphic style seems to be a bit more cartoony.
Yeah, it's, very Disney-esque.
Yeah, it's a good way to describe it, but playing with that one a little bit, that one's all right. But anyways, as for actual RuneScape progression and things I've done this week, since I've gotten access to the mobile client beta, I decided I needed something to do while I'm at work and like on break and stuff like that, so I don't need to talk to my coworkers. And since I don't have the greatest reception in my break trailer, I needed something that was kind of AFK. Like, I can't really go out and do Slayer. I could, depending on the task, but if I'm doing something like Brutal Black Dragons, I'm probably going to die. Because there's a bunch of little things where, like, if I'm standing in melee range for too long of a period, they could easily kill you. And if you're randomly getting little leg spikes, there's a high chance of that happening. So I decided to go with an AFK skill just to kind of have fun and see how much progression I could make while specifically only doing that when I'm playing on the mobile client, and I also don't have good reception. So I'm training cooking. That's what I decided to go with. And this week so far, I went from level 72 all the way to 79.
Nice.
Yep, it's pretty fast experience, which is great. You make a little bit of profit, which is, that's never a bad thing. And if I lag here or there, it's not that big of a deal. It just means when I get the connection, boom, I got 10 extra monkfish cooked. We'll see how that goes. I'm just cooking monkfish with cooking gauntlets at the Hasidious Kitchen, which, if you don't know, cooking gauntlets from the Family Crest quest gives you a smaller chance of burning fish. And then the same buff is on the Hasidious Kitchen, which is a kitchen on Zaya. And you can pair the two up, so you have an even smaller chance of burning fish. So that's a great way to train it. But there's two things I noticed this week with the mobile client. One, if you minimize it or you get a phone call or just something else takes the focus of your phone and puts RuneScape into the background, you will lose connection on the game. Let's say you get a phone call, you disconnect, and then if you go back to it, there's a good chance you're going to have to log back in. For a while, I thought that, I just assumed, I know a lot of other people thought this as well, that you'd be able to close it, open up, let's say the Internet Explorer, you're on Google Chrome, and you're on the wiki, let's say you're reading a guide. If you go back to RuneScape, it's probably going to have disconnected you and kicked you off the game. So that's, I don't know if that's like a fail-safe. They do that in case something happens and you're in the middle of bossing, which at the same time, it seems super dangerous, right? You just log back in and you're dead.
So if you're not actively like having the game open as your main thing on your phone, you're technically not connected to the game?
Pretty much. Like what you could do is you could have the game open and then you quickly minimize it and you go to your home screen on your phone and then you immediately pull it back up. You'll have disconnected for a second.
Okay, yeah. And you were saying when you first got in the beta that it auto-selects worlds for you.
I can't remember. I assume it does. We could kind of test it out right now.
Does it not give you an option to like choose worlds? Like how does it, because like what happens if you were to like, oh, I got a phone call and you like, you're doing Slayer or something, I don't know, whatever. And you go and you quickly, hey, blah, 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 I'm in the middle of playing RuneScape, we'll talk to you later, whatever. And you hang up and then you die while you're disconnected. Like, is it going to put you in the same world? Or like, is there a chance it could select another like East Coast server or West Coast, wherever you are? Is there a chance that it could just put you up with another world and now you run to your spot and your items aren't there?
Interesting.
Or is that like something that happens when you first open up the app?
Well, let's see. I'm testing it out right now, and it does change. I opened it at once, and it was World 69. I actually did this 4 times as you were talking. So the first 3 times I opened it up, it was World 69. The 4th time, it was World 54.
Okay. Is that like you closing?
Yeah, I'm closing it completely and opening it again. So I'm not sure if it's like what it's really based on.
I'm assuming it's every time you load up the app then.
Yeah, I loaded up again, 346.
It'd be weird if you disconnected and reload into a new world. You're like, where the fuck's my shit? What is this? And you don't have a client indicator to tell you, hey, you died on this world. Go get your stuff.
Yeah, that's true. So, like, yeah, if your phone were to die or something, and then you died in-game, and you connected it real quick, there's a good chance you're not going to be on the same world. So I guess that's important to note what world you're actually in if you're doing something that's slightly dangerous. Weird. Again, this is beta, so they could still be ironing out these things. You might be able to set like a favorite world that many of the clients kind of have, but from what I saw, it's a little random. I'm not sure what it's based off of. I'm surprised it doesn't just try to put you into World 2 or something, you know what I mean? But anyways, the second thing I noticed with the mobile client is, and this is kind of interesting, I don't know when this happened because I was just kind of playing, and then I noticed, how long has this been in the client? Because it's not in the normal game right now. So you've probably seen what the interface looks like. If you haven't, pretty much the same as the normal game. There's a few differences to make it a little bit more mobile friendly. But the chat box is basically the exact same. It's just moved to the top of the screen. If you press your clan chat tab on the chat box, all of your messages go straight to the clan chat. There's no / required on the mobile client.
Really?
Yeah, because a lot of the times I would have the clan part open, I'm just talking and whatnot, and I would constantly do the /, and then when I sent it, the / would get added to my message, and I was like, that's weird. And then I realized, on the mobile client, you don't need to put a / if you've selected your clan tab. Yeah, because we've been talking about the kind of clan system we've had just briefly over the past couple of weeks. But my question is, why the fuck can't we do that on the fucking computer? Like on the PC client? It's on mobile client. Why the fuck isn't it on the PC client?
Dude, it's not RuneScape if it's not inconsistent.
God damn it. Am I testing out the clan chat system as well? Is this what the beta is paired with? The mobile beta and the clan chat system? So yeah, that's pretty weird. Anyways, moving on to non-mobile stuff. I'm at 98 defense. And I'm pretty damn close to, not pretty damn close, but if I keep up with this progression, I'll be 99 by the end of the week. So that's pretty nice. I was able to get some better mage gear. I got the Torment Bracelet, which is the best in slot hand slot for magic, for your magic equipment. It allows you to do like an extra 2% damage when you're casting spells. So you pair that with the Mage Arena 2 cape. You pair that with the necklace of the occult, or the occult necklace. I can't remember what it's called. But then you get like an extra, I don't know, couple hits of damage with your spells. So that's pretty cool. I was also able to get the Eternal boots, which are best in slot boots for magic. That's about it. I did some Kriera with someone from the clan chat. We went out there. I decided I'm going to try to do the Chinchompa method. And then at the same time, I had the realization I fucking suck at this game.
Died?
No, I didn't die, but I got like 4 kills, and it costed me 600k in chins.
What? What are you doing?
It costed me I used 200 Chinchompas in 4 kills.
Okay, you're doing something wrong.
I was doing a lot wrong. And it made me realize I hate doing that method. Oh god, is it frustrating. And so tedious.
It's not. Wait, how are you doing it? What's your process? Because that, you have to be doing something completely wrong.
My process is I click whatever the Flight Kalisa, which is, so Kriera has 3 minions with chins. You're supposed to attack the melee guy, and it brings in Kriera right close to you. Your chin does area damage, so when you hit Kriera, it's also hitting... when you're hitting Flight Callista, it's also hitting Kriera. And since Flight Kalisa has lower range defense than Kriera, you're doing more damage on Flight Kalisa, and then the damage is based off of what your main target is. So then Kriera, their Armadillo boss, has taken quite a bit of damage as well. But and I think you're the one who've mentioned this method on a previous episode, you need to click on Kriera in between attacks because if you're not focusing the boss, she will focus you with melee. And the whole time you're praying range to prevent her from one-shotting you because she does a lot of damage with range. But if you're not focusing her, she'll still hit you pretty hard with melee.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to basically click back and forth between the two, but you're always wanting to click on Flight Kalisa, the melee person, before you're going to attack so that you can actually throw the chin at them. There is a little bit of a beat you're trying to hit when you're clicking because, as I learned, if you're not clicking fast enough or you're misclicking, you're either A, going to be constantly throwing your chins at Kriera, or you're going to be not focusing her enough and you're going to be getting melee smacked a bunch.
Yeah, so you have like a 1.2 second window, I think.
Oh, so fucking stupid.
To click Kriara and then get ready to right click. Like you throw, like what I do is as soon as I get the experience drop, I click on Kriara and then I like go and right click and hover over Kalissa. Because, sometimes you have to. Sometimes Kriara is like hitbox. It's so fucky that like it's clickbox. It'll be on top of the minion when it doesn't look like it.
Yep.
And then like at like almost like 1 second, like just before the next tick comes in, you go and attack the range guy. Cause like, I think you have 3 ticks. That's how it lets the attack speed with the Chinchampas.
Right.
3 ticks. So you want to like, during, I guess, the 2 ticks where you can't attack, you want to be quote unquote focusing Kriara, and then just before the next tick comes in where you're throwing out your chin, you quickly, make it so on that tick you're actually hitting the right minion. And then after you kill that minion, you can run towards the mage minion, which will be close to the wall. Like near the door. What is it? Is that the south wall? I'm trying to like think of which way is north, east, south, and west in that room.
I have no idea.
But if you like go from away from the altar towards the door, that's where the mage guy will be, and you can bring Kalissa to that guy and then do the same method while your melee guy is respawning. I mean, it's kind of a pain. It'll take like 1 or 2 trips to get used to it, and then it's pretty good.
It's a bit tedious because like you're basically clicking something like on this line of like jumping back and forth between the two.
You don't have to click that fast.
Well, it felt like you did. To me, it felt like you did. But like my problem is I go to right click Flight Kalisa and I'd right click and like, oh, I must have not clicked on her. Right click again, and now I'm getting smacked by the fucking Kriera. Or I'm getting fucking wasting my chins on Kriera.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. I do that. I'll accidentally hit Kriara sometimes.
Yeah, but I go through like a full battle of like, oh, I basically just focus Kriera the whole time. There goes 400
true.
chins. Not that many, but I went through literally 600 in one trip. With another person, I was duoing it.
See, that's fucked, because I can solo like 10 kills and go through like 200. I really want to watch you do Kriara. There's got to be something, because I don't even know how you throw that many chins in 4 kills.
It's bad.
Do you bring a crossbow as well, or are you bringing only chins?
I brought a crossbow for after you kill the boss.
You don't bring a blowpipe as well?
When I normally do it, I bring the crossbow and then the blowpipe, and I use the blowpipe when I'm fighting the minions, the 3 minions that they spawn after you kill the boss. But when I was doing it with the chins, like in my head, I was like, oh, it's going to be simple. What's going to happen is you're going to kill Flight Kalissa, and then you'll have to wait for him to respawn. In that time, I'll switch to my crossbow, and I'll just normal attack her until the minion spawns again, and then I'll go back to chinning. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way because, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta watch you do this. There's gotta be something that you're missing. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
It mattered at the time. That was 600k. Ugh, I did it, and I was sitting there thinking, like, fuck, who does this method? You're really hoping you hit that RNG table and get that 40 mil drop.
Okay, well, you should watch Zulu and don't do exactly what he does, because he's fucked. He's prey flicking while he's doing the chin method the whole time.
Jesus.
I watched Zulu do it to get an idea of, like, where to stand and how to do the attacks and then what to do afterwards. And it took me, like, 2 trips to figure it out. So you might want to do that. I'm a visual learner too, so that helps me a lot. Like watching someone get 50 kills in one trip and be like, all right, I can't do that, but let me get an idea of what he's doing and then dumb it down for me. But I brought the crossbow, chins, and a blowpipe, and I would, if I was getting annoyed, because like luring Kuriara onto the mage guy is really fucking annoying sometimes, so I'll just say screw it, and I'll just like crossbow him until the melee guy spawns. And then I'll go back to like, normal method, but then you can blowpipe and heal up and stuff afterwards too.
Yeah, that's why the blowpipe's nice to have. Even though your spec's gonna miss 90% of the time, because that's just the way it happens for some reason.
Yeah, what I do sometimes too is, cause you have to like stand there for a little while, right? You have to just stand in the bottom corner and wait for them to come to you. So I'll just like blowpipe the range minion once or twice and then kite towards the corner and then hopefully I venom him. And then if I do it correctly, it'll die around the time Kuriara dies, so then I just have to kill the mage guy.
Okay.
But yeah, anyways, what else did you do?
Nope, that was about it. Just pissed off at the game. Sitting here thinking my fucking account's bugged. But we have a lot to talk about, so let's just hop right into the news. Let's just get right into her. Is that what that Phil DeFranco says?
I don't know. I haven't watched Phil DeFranco since he was like Sexy Phil.
Sexy Phil?
Yeah, like back in a long time ago. I don't know, 10 years ago.
Well, let's just get right into her.
No news.
Okay, let's wrap it up, boys.
So, Theater of Blood progress. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the images, any of that hot stuff they're doing with Theater of Blood. It's like graphically looks pretty sweet.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Looks pretty goddamn epic, if I were to say.
Yeah, I like the UI of setting up, like, making your team.
Oh yeah, it's an actual interface.
Yeah, it's not like make party, people join your CC. Like, you have to accept people into your group, and it shows their combat level and all their stats, and then their kill count. Like, all their combat stats.
That's fucking sick. Part of me hopes it's going to be like Barbarian Assault, where you get a scroll and you have to, like, use on person.
You're just missing an inventory slot or inventory thing.
It's too much engine work to change it too much, so you still have the horn to blow rolls.
No capes allowed. You gotta get your roll capes. Anyways, yeah, I mean, they have, like, a lot put into this dev blog. But a lot of it is like, what challenges did you face? Oh, this actually was difficult.
Yeah, a lot of it you kind of have to be looking at the dev blog to see, because a lot of it is for like the graphics overlays or the graphical images they've made. So we're not going to sit here and talk about a picture because we've tried that before and it doesn't seem to work out too well.
I mean, graphically, sick as fuck.
It looks really good, I agree.
I love it. Like, what, the Jagex, the Gillinor Ursula looks pretty cool. She looks like Ursula from, what's it called?
Yeah. A Disney movie.
Yeah. Pokemon,
probably Digimon.
Yeah. But yeah, she's got some really cool animations. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to go and try to describe what all these images look like, because it's going to be like, I don't know, bunch of references to like, it looks like this mixed with this. I don't know. It looks pretty cool though.
She's fat.
Yeah, she's one
she's
big
just
girl.
Fat, and she can't fly anymore. So there's this like chain thing carrying her around while her wings struggle.
Like BDSM swing.
Yeah,
she's like
exactly.
attached to.
Yeah. One thing that's kind of cool or kind of interesting, I can't remember where I read this, or maybe it was on a live stream when I was listening to it, but they talk about how in vampire lore, if you watch the Twilight films, I don't even know if this is in the Twilight films, but a vampire can't see the reflection in a mirror, right?
Yeah.
So in her mind, she's just this beautiful queen and stuff, and I guess she can't look down and see the gut that's like pouring over her thighs.
Looking at my gut? What are you looking at my gut for?
Yep, so that's it's pretty interesting. But it all looks really cool. You're in this giant arena, this giant grand castle arena, giant coliseum. I don't know. Oh, it's looking good. Anything else you want to talk about for this dev blog?
Not really. Like, it's just like I don't know, I think it's something that you should like kind of read because it would be like an hour to read through all this and like talk to you guys about it, and a lot of it's kind of like their opinions on certain things, their challenges, progress on terms of like audio and all that stuff, and how coding and animation, it's all that stuff. It's just like kind of more of like you're talking to the dev team about this update, you know?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
they're talking to them.
But on the topic of the audio, I'll play the song. We can listen to what the music's going to be for. It seems like this music is for the quest, which I don't know if the quest is going to take place in you checking out the arena or stepping in, but it's called Welcome to the Theater. So it's going to be in the Taste of Hope quest. So I'm going to play that right now. They always do such great work with their music.
Yeah.
I'm always blown away by how many songs are actually like top quality music.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of like heavy piano jumping in. Just because, you know, like you're running around Gilnor or whatever. Let's say you go to enter it, like you have your music on and it just like doesn't really fade in. It just kind of... You know what I mean?
Yeah, but this
just, like,
section right
slaps
here,
you.
it's fucking good.
Oh yeah.
So it's a solid 3. Oh, a little breakdown too. Holy shit! Check this out. I didn't even listen to the full thing earlier, but it's always good. Like, if you haven't noticed, we normally throw in a song at the end of our show. Just a I have like a playlist of like almost all the songs, not some of the newer ones, but a lot of the old ones, and I kind of just throw it in there. Yeah, I'm always like I'm surprised by how good some of the songs are that I haven't even listened to before. But there's a little bit of a teaser right there. So kudos to Mod Ian and Mod Surma on creating a pretty good song. I know Mod Ian himself has created a majority of the music for the game. So that guy's quite the creative genius, if I were to say. But yeah, and I guess one other thing that we should mention about this Theater of Blood little dev blog is that there's another competition coming up for it.
Yeah, they have a competition as always. It's the typical, you know, the login screen competition, you know, all that good stuff.
Pretty much do our work for us.
Yep. You pretty much make an image, mirror it, submit it as a JPEG, and you submit it to oldschoolcommunity@jagex.com. It must have login screen as the subject of the email, have your JPEG attached, and your RSN name in the body of the email.
Good stuff.
Yeah, the deadline is the 31st of May.
It's coming up.
Yeah, you get a year membership and goodies. A goodie bag.
Yeah, it says an exclusive old school goodie bag.
Which may or may not arrive, because there's been a lot of people having issues getting their stuff.
We should look into that for next week. We should do a little follow-up to see if, in the past, where there's been issues with people receiving their PC computer they won for... What is it, King of the Skill?
Yeah, their Chill Blast TM PC.
Yeah, exactly. And I know there's been people in the past who had trouble getting their money from some of the Deadman Mode tournaments. But that being said, I know a lot of times those kind of esport competition prize rewards are a little bit trickier to hand out than you would think. It's not as easy as, here's $10,000, it's in the mail, get ready to receive it. There's, I guess, legal stuff that has to go through. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yep. Shall we move on?
I think we shall.
So we've seen a lot of complaints about this, but they have a little fix, I guess, which would be, you know, if you're in some popular Iron Man specifically, that seems to happen a lot to these clan chats, but there's a lot of clan chats that bots will kind of raid, or someone will make a bunch of alts and just spam.
Right.
Yeah, so...
I notice you see that a lot as well in the minigame clan chats, because sometimes I'll go to teleport to Nightmare Zone or something, and I'll misclick and join the clan chat. And next thing you know, I'm wondering why there's a bunch of spam bots in our CC. I'm like, oh shit, have we been targeted?
Not yet. We're safe for now. But yeah, they've added a 150 total level restriction on joining clan chats, and it's temporary. It's they said they're gonna like actually have like a better implementation of this in the future.
I hope it's not a higher total level.
No, I think it'll be like more than just a number. You'll probably have to do some shit.
Oh god. I'll tell you why I don't want it to be a higher total level. Because for our clan chat, Wild CC, I just made an account named Wild CC, which is kind of how you have to do it. I left him at level 3. I also made him a hardcore Iron Man, just why not? Every week I update the title of the clan chat to whatever episode we just released. And I couldn't do it this week because I went to go do it and I realized I can't even join the clan chat.
Yeah.
So you got a bunch of people chilling in this clan chat that the owner of it can't even access.
Yeah. You can still ban and unban people, and I think you can still rank up people, but you can't join the chat. It's really flawed.
Because the ranking up and banning is all done within your friends list. You need to add them and then click to rank them up, and if you want to ban them, you just put them on your ignore list.
Yeah, it's weird, but whatever. Yeah, they have that. It'll be changed at some point. They'll see how it works.
Oh god, if they make it so you have to be a member, oh boy,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that surprised. Yeah, me neither. But shit, who's got that type of money?
Pins and key rings are on pre-sale, I guess.
Right. Okay. So yeah, there was I think like a third-party person who was making their handmade keys. And
yeah, Angelscape. They're known for making shit. You know.
Mm-hmm. Really good stuff too. It looks really nice.
Probably gets sold out quickly though. They seem to be sold out like the day of release. So good luck trying to cop your merch. Got to be quick on that.
Yep.
Yeah. Moving on. So what actually happened this week in terms of content is challenge modes for Chamber of Xeric has arrived.
Yeah. Another quick one. We get it one week. We get a pull for it, and the next week it's out. That's what it seems like.
Yep, super nice. I'm really happy to see that. I have some issues, but I do think challenge mode is fucking sweet. Okay, so we'll just talk about this and then I'll go over challenge modes. Yeah, so there are scoreboards for the challenge modes. They have solo, duo, trio, 4-man, 5 to 10, like all like separate brackets. Mm-hmm. And then they have groups of like 11 to 15 and then like 16 plus, I think. Like they all have different brackets. There's like a target time for each amount or like group of like each bracket, I should say, sorry. So for solos, it's like a minute or an hour and 10 minutes. That's like the target time. For like trios, it's like under 50 minutes, I believe.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah, and your time your time will be recorded, but it's whoever's CC it is will be put on the list, and you can't see who's actually in that team. So when I was doing trios, it would say like Jim Bob is not his actual name, but Jim Bob, we have rank 1 for World 314, but you just see like that person, whoever CC it is, it's just their name.
So every world has its own rankings?
Yeah, so I don't like how this is. So they have, each world has its own rankings for each bracket. So typically, you'll just see one team that have all 5 spots in like, say, 4, 5, 3, man, whatever.
Yep.
Just typically, because not many groups are raiding on every, you know what I mean? It's not like every single world has people raiding on them, fighting over the worlds. It's just like, okay, you're West Coast, you're Mountain, you're East Coast, we'll go to a Mountain server. We'll bring everyone, no one's getting fucked too hard on ping. It's okay. You go find a world that, like, is good for ping, and then you just jump in. Like, no one really cares. It's not like, okay, we all raid on World 2 because that's where all the competition is. It's just like, you go to your own world because you just want as good as ping as possible, and then you raid, but no one else is really raiding there. So within a day, there's just one team or one name that takes up all 5 spots. And they're not even good times. They did them,
Yeah.
They do have a global best on the top right of the box. Okay. Which is cool, but it just says the time. It doesn't say what world. It doesn't say what team. It's just like global best, 30 minutes. And you're like, what the fuck? Who did this? You know what I mean? Let me search every single world to find this guy so I can add him and then harass him on how he did it. Not really, but you know.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like this might suffer from a little bit of last man standing syndrome, where it's a lot of people are excited for it, but because of the way it was implemented, it's going to give it a month and you won't see as much hype around it. So from what my understanding is, from your explanation, is if the Wild Boys want to be crowned as the king of raiding for Chambers of Xeric, we would need to go into whatever bracket we want to be the best at, and we would need to go through the raid 60 different times in order to conquer it in every single world.
Yeah, so you'd have to get the best time on every single world. If you were to get global best, it would just say that, but I guess we're different because our CC is called Wild CC, so it would say first place Wild CC, but if typically what raiders do, because there's like little tricks you can do throughout the raids where like you can log in and out at certain times and like save time. It's weird. It's a weird system, just how the raids work. But if you're like a serious team of raiders, you want everyone to have kick privilege. It's not like the leader has to stay in. Like, it's nice that, let's say if we're raiding, if it's me and 3 people in the CC that don't have kick privilege and I'm scouting and I find a raid, then I'm like, oh, I don't need my pickaxe. I can't get them to jump in and hold it and jump out. Like there's like all these weird things. If I'm getting secondaries for us, I can't get them to climb down the rope into Olm, and then I can't like bank it and then relog, so I teleport closer. Like, there's like a lot of little tricks and raids that you can do to save some time, and you can't do that unless everyone has kick privilege. So you'll see like what raiders will do is that they'll go and make like, I'll go into Deagin CC, whoever I'm raiding with, I rank up to kick privilege to like the max rank, and then we just do the raids. So it's like, that's kind of like one of the main issues with how this system works, right? You just see one person's name. There's no drop box to show who was in the raid. You know, none of that stuff.
And I'm going to assume that the only way to see this high scores table is to go to the Chambers of Xeric itself.
Yeah, and there's a scoreboard. But yeah, there's solo and then separate brackets between 2 to 10. And then there's like a general of 11 to 15, 16 to 23, 24 plus. Those last 3 are I feel like they're just like free for alls.
Yeah.
But I don't really think free for all challenge modes will be a thing because they're really hard. That being said, the raid itself is super cool.
Okay.
I like well, I mean, it's going to change every week, right? But
is that confirmed? Did they say they're going to change it each week?
Yes. And they say that when they first talked about it, that there would be like a rotation.
I don't recall, because I do remember us discussing there's going to be 2 ways. Either it's going to be like one way it's set up and that's it, or every week it's going to change, which would make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone I've talked to about it have talked about it changing each week. Like, everyone is talking as if it changes each week, and I remember I have a memory of us talking about like, that's kind of cool how, you know, how it changes, but maybe I'm just putting memories in my own head. Maybe they're false memories. It's safe to assume that it's going to change each week, because if not, then it's going to get really boring really quickly.
Yeah. I'm going to assume it's going to do that as well.
Like, I'm pretty sure it's how it works. Anyway, so about the rewards. So you can get a transmog for your omelet pet. You have a chance of getting one each time. And you're able to get a miniature Tecton, Vespula, Vanguard, Mutadial, or Vasa. They only show Muta and Tecton. I really want to see like Vasa. I think that'd be really cool. See some ghosty skeleton with some stony legs and stuff. Kind of neat.
And it's important to note that in order to have a chance at receiving this, you need to be hitting underneath the time that they put for that bracket. So for solo, you said 1 hour and 10 minutes, I believe. You're going to have to get under that in order to have a chance at even obtaining it.
Yeah. When you go under the elapsed time, you also get bonus points.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, so like solo, if you get under the elapsed time, you'll get like a bonus 5,000 points. And getting under the elapsed time is actually difficult. in terms of like, I don't have a T-bone stuff. The people I were doing here, I'll talk about that later. Actually, we'll talk about more of the mechanics. Anyways, there's one more reward. I'm getting too ahead of myself, which is the cape, the challenge mode cape, which there are brackets of 100, 200, 500, 1,000, and 2,000 completed raids, and each one of those brackets give you a different look of the cape. I must say they look pretty bad.
Yeah, I was fairly disappointed. Like, the cape itself, it's not terribly looking, but the variations between 100, 200, 500, 1,000, and 2,000 are so minor that you're not even going to notice unless you like, oh, I'm going to zoom in and see if this guy's got the 2,000 kill or the 2,000 ohm kills, and you're going to be like, I can't even tell because there's such minor differences. You know what I mean?
And they're probably running by. They're like, it's just like, yeah, I feel like you either look at the cape and they have under 500 or over 500. That's pretty much it. Like, the difference between 100 and 200 are super minor, but 200 to 500, there's actually like a symbol on the back of the cape, and then 500 to 1,000, there's like a line on the symbol, and then like other images. You know what I mean? Like, it's super, minuscule difference.
Yeah, it seems pretty bland.
Yeah, I don't like the cape at all.
It's just like a grayish, greenish cape. It's not that epic looking. The obsidian cape looks probably cooler than it does.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the cape at all. But I guess I'll talk about, have you done any challenge mode raids or like looked at any streams or any of that stuff?
I have not, unfortunately.
All right. I've done like 7. So I'm no expert, but I
completed or just
completed. Yeah, I've completed 7. So this week's I won't go over like, there's no weekly rotation I'll talk about, but like just for reference, I guess this week's rotation, and this gives you like an idea of them. I should say that the monsters have higher max hits, higher health, and higher defensive stats. Some of them didn't have defensive stats within normal raids, and now they do. Such as like the Ohm Mage Ham actually has mage defense now. Within challenge mode, like trio at least. I only did trios. But I kind of want to wait till I get a T-bow until I start spamming them, because they're hard.
A lot harder than their regular raid.
Okay, so for instance, if you're doing a regular raid, you'll be doing like skeleton, mystics, shamans, mutadile, guardian, Vasa. One of those will be taken out though. Like, either you won't be doing mutadiles or you won't be doing Vasa. But yeah, like, you pretty much get like really easy raids where like the rooms are like 30 seconds. Like, you're completing it in a trio within like 30 minutes, you know? Super fast. In this, the goal is 50 minutes. I think our best was 52 minutes. We didn't get under the projected goal.
Gotcha.
I'm going to take the blame for that though, cause, it's hard as fuck. This week, this is what the rotation is, cause it's a set rotation. So the first floor is Tecton, Ice, Shaman. Second floor is Vanguard's Thieving Room, Vespula, Tightrope. Third floor is Guardian, Vasa, Mystic, Muta, and then you have Ohm. So you literally have every single raid you have to go through, every single room.
Okay.
And it's really tricky, but like, they do some cool things, like put Tecton in first, so if everyone goes in and misses their Dragon Warhammer specs, you just jump out. Because his defense is so high that like, they kind of need to nerf him. There's times where like, you all hit specs, and the fight is still 3 minutes long.
I think that's the idea, because he's like it's kind of like a rock monster. I don't know if he's rock or metal, but he has like a blacksmith. He has like a blacksmithing theme to it, where he has that giant anvil or whatever. He goes back, he has that hand hammer. It's pretty interesting there.
Like, he's super nuts, because he's got really high defense, and he hit me for like an 83, I think.
Oof.
I don't know if I sent you an image of the gear that I've been bringing in.
I haven't seen it, no.
Here, I'll send you an image now. So like, you have to bring in so much shit, and it's specific for like this week's rotation, just cause like, you kill, Tecton and Ice Demon, and then you do Ice Demon Shaman, and then you like get your supplies for the rest of the raid, so you only bring in like 7 total potions, right?
Right.
Like, that's Bruise, Restores, Sandfew, a Combat, and a Stam. your just inventory is pretty much gear. It's really neat though, because they're like, it's super fun because there's cool strategies that like you kind of slowly come up with. Like eventually normally we just bring a berserker ring in raids, but now you like want to have a ring of suffering that's charged to switch into for the recoil effect.
Mm-hmm.
You want someone with water strikes for the Olm firewall. You want someone with vengeance, and you want someone with barrage.
Cool.
Because, Tecton can hit like up to an 83 before the raid starts. One guy venges himself and then he venge two other people, and you go in and don't protect melee, and you just kind of like suicide to him in the beginning.
Yeah.
Cause you're gonna just eat an 83 and you lose like no points, right? You're just trying to get the raid done as fast as possible. There's like a lot of cool tricks where like the way Vasa works when she does this teleport move, like she'll teleport you to her. She'll do damage based on the percentage of your health. So you guys like, someone will go in and at the start and get teleported, and they'll overheal to like 120 with an angler or something.
Yep. And
then someone will venge them, and they venge like a 90 onto them. Like this cool little tricks.
That's what I wanted from the raid as well, is that each person has their own different role to play within the raid itself. I wanted to see someone being able to do. Obviously, the raids weren't set up to be like this, but when we first talked about it, that's what I was kind of envisioning, is you'd have someone as a tank, someone as a support on the Lunar spellbook, you'd have someone on Ancient spellbook to take away ads and stuff like that, do more area of effect damage. It seems like this challenge raids kind of has that a little bit, in the sense that, as you mentioned, somebody needs to be venging other.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, with barrages, it's like when the Mutadial is running to go eat the tree, then someone will just barrage them. Whoever has them, they'll just freeze them in place so they can't heal.
Nice.
It's really neat how there's like actual things like that. But you really have to you really have to optimize like your play, I guess, when you're playing. Mm-hmm. So when you're doing Vespula, I think we talked about the redemption trick a long time ago. But there's this weird trick where like, it's pretty much a bug protecting a portal. That's the whole fight. Yep. And it's trying to break its grubs, like its babies' shells, so they can help. There's this trick you can do, is you can drink a prayer enhance, which slowly increases your prayer, like each tick. You pray redemption and run in and tag the portal, and as you're tagging the portal, Vespula will like chunk you, but your redemption can save you and heal you up if you do it properly. So you do that over and over again, and you want to like do weird tricks like that to make sure you get through the raids as fast as possible. There's like a lot of really little weird tricks that you'll be doing to try and save time. It's like speedrunning.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really challenging. My issue is that the people I've been doing trios with, they have twisted bows and shit, and I don't.
See the scrub in the group.
So when we hit 52 minutes, it's like, if I had a T-bow, that would have been easily under 50 minutes.
And they're sitting there being like, who brought this guy? I didn't bring this guy. I thought he was friends with you. And you're just sitting there like, guys, I'll try to do better next time. No, you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Yeah, fuck them. I must say, though, because of the difficulty of the raid and that increased health and stuff like that, you get a lot of points. Like, in a trio, we're getting points for like 4-man and 5-man raids.
Oh, nice. And the points is what's going to determine what loot you're getting at the end of it.
Yeah, and your chance of getting, like, say, a unique or something.
Yeah, pretty cool.
That being said, out of like the 7 challenge mode raids and 15 normal raids, I saw an arcane scroll and throwing axes. It's the shittiest drops.
Just the way she goes. Sometimes she goes. Sometimes
she's been going like that for over a month now. It's getting really obnoxious. Getting no fucking loot from this goddamn content. It's annoying. But yeah, challenge modes are super cool. I'm happy about that. Mainly because once raids 2 start and you don't have 5 people to play with, you might not want to just sit there and spam normals solos all the time. It might be nice to like, now I gotta do challenge modes, and there's actual progression that like shows, hey, I did 2,000 solos or 2,000 challenge modes. Look at my cape.
Yeah, people are gonna be like,
Is that 500 or 2,000? I can't tell. That's what they'll be saying.
Does the highwayman drop that cape?
Yeah. How much is that? Can I buy it?
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll move on though.
I just want to go back real quick and talk about the way that the raids was put in, because I didn't have a chance to complain about this. when we were talking about how it's your name of this clan chat that gets submitted as the name of the person or team that completed that challenge mode and got like the best time, let's just say. So my worry, or not worry, but my question is going to be, will this open the door where you're now able to pay people to come into your clan chat and get you the high scores so that you can be like, hey, look at how prestigious my clan is. We're the number one in challenge mode raids for trios in like 5 different worlds. Look at our clan names on there. Yet it's just a clan of pures or something like that.
Well, the thing is that the scoreboard's going to reset weekly, and there isn't that many people doing challenge modes.
That's my problem. It's just the way it's implemented. Not many people are going to be doing it.
It's not because they don't want to, it's because not many people can. Like, challenge mode raid is literally end of endgame content. So you can't really be like, well, there's not enough people doing that. It's it's for the people that have been spamming raids nonstop since they came out, because that's endgame content. It's people that like got to the endgame content, have been doing it for over a year, and are like waiting for raids 2. And then once raids 2 comes out, and they can't always, because you can't always be doing raids 2, because you need people, and like free-for-alls in normal raids right now are fucking awful. I don't know how people, I did a couple this week again, and it's the worst. People sit there and argue. People don't know what they're doing. People are like, they have max capes, and they like have no idea what the fuck they're doing in them. Like, it's like they bought an account, and like, you know, they're completely clueless, and they're in max gear, and they've died like 6 times, and you're like, yeah, this fucking sucks. And so and it's going to be really punishing for this once. There's not going to be that many free-for-alls, if ever. There might be stupid requirements, like have 300 done, you know? And you can't solo them, so they need something to fill that void of, like, 1, it's cool to have, like, a little speed or anything. 2, there's more cosmetics, and the pet hunters have something new to hunt for. And it's something that's actually challenging, because, like, after, you know, once you get used to, like, raids 1... it's pretty much go through the motions. Like, it stops getting hard very quickly.
I just wish that when they implemented it, it would have been a top 10 for, like, globally on who could complete it the fastest. Like, with each world, I feel like it's kind of demotivating to, it takes away from that competitive edge that PVMing doesn't really necessarily have.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when the global timer is, or the global score, it's like, there is someone somewhere with this time. Yeah. That's what rank 1 means. It's like, there's someone who's better than you by this much. We don't know who, we don't know where, we don't really know when, but it happened.
Now, they do say that on the website, there will be a separate section, probably on the high scores, that kind of displays it as well. Still, how often is the average player going to the high scores to see who the top things are, right? Like,
I mean, it's not out right now.
No, well, maybe eventually.
You know what I mean? Like, they have last man standing rank. They have all clue scrolls ranks and bounty hunters, but they don't have this. They came out with this in like week 1. I can't find a high score that is related to this.
Yeah, well, it'll probably be coming out soon, because it does mention in the dev blog here. But the thing is like, for each world, that's just, it clutters things up too much. It just seems, I don't know. It's hard to be like, hey, this clan is the top PVM clan, unless that clan's gonna go through every single world and be the top in it. I don't know. I just wish they made it easier to see who the number 1 clan is. And this would make it so each week people competing. Like, who's gonna do 60 raids each week so that their name's at the top for all this shit? Unless you have a big enough clan where you can have a number of different teams running through them.
But the thing is like, you're saying 60, but like, I'm not gonna go do a raid on Australian world.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's why it should have just been 1 global.
Yeah, it should be. I feel like once you enter the raid, it's sweet. It's super well done. It's really, really fun. To like, the actual content itself is well done, but everything outside of it is very last minute.
Yeah. Seems like when it comes to interfaces and stuff like that, Jagex lacks a little bit in that department.
Well, it's all last minute. Like, it's pretty obvious, like, that type of shit's last minute. Anyways, though.
Yeah, I guess we'll move it on. There is a special thanks to 5 players who were able to test it. They were probably the the players who had the most normal raids completed. So these players are Classics, John Will Sens, Latiaz, 124426, and Auntie Mabel. I guess a little shout out to those players out there. And I guess time to move on, yeah?
Yeah, so PvP world rotation changes. Yeah, who cares about that?
That's going to happen each week, so yeah, it's if you're a PKer, you'll just look at the world, all the different worlds, and you'll see which one it is.
Yep. In other news, though, the Barrows interface has been updated on mobile, so players are able to see their progress better.
Cool.
The Stronghold of Security Goblins now have a chance of dropping a champion scroll.
Okay. Sure.
Rewrote some dialogue from the Gypsy and Recipe for Disaster.
Okay.
The Bonds interface has been updated for the upcoming summer special.
Ooh.
Yep.
So make a little note, because I do want to bring that up later.
Yep. That is it for that specific portion. We still have some more to talk about, though, in terms of news. And Runefest 2018 update, I guess.
Oh, that's what we're going to talk about. Right, let's talk about Runefest.
Yeah, so Friday the 5th, October, 6 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Runefest will kick off. Runefest 18, I guess. But yeah, RuneScape Live. It'll be a concert orchestra.
Yeah, Royal Philharmonic Concert Orchestra. So that's cool. Badass.
Yep. Created exclusively for Runefest.
Oh, wow.
Apparently they're world famous. I don't know who they are, though. But I guess I'm uncultured. Uncultured swine over here. But yeah, so you can chill, get drunk, listen to them, play some music and whatnot from RuneScape.
Okay, that confused me because you said that it was created specifically for RuneScape, yet they're world famous.
The show is specific for RuneFest in terms of like it's all RuneScape music and stuff like that.
Oh,
it's not like it's Mod Ash and like the band of Jagex monkeys playing music, which would be pretty fun to watch. It's like they're like a legitimate orchestra, but they're going to only be playing RuneScape stuff.
Nice. Okay, that's cool. That's actually pretty badass.
Yeah, so you can be in the bar or the land rooms from 6 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. and that's when the concert's taking place.
There's a LAN room, so you're telling me I can go there and play RuneScape?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, beautiful.
Probably a little bit too much Fortnite being played there, let's be real.
Imagine the servers get DDoSed.
That's the thing, though. I just want to say this quickly before we move on. It's kind of sketchy to be playing RuneScape at a LAN, because you know the infamous tale of someone being at the public library and then they get pinned down while the kids trade their items to someone else?
Right. Yeah, we have heard about rumors of that, I guess.
You know, the infamous...
It's something you've always got to be worried about when you're playing on a public library. It's just you at the back of your head, you need... Like, normally when I go do it, I'll have my girlfriend stand watch, and if some shady kids come in, like 3 of them, and they're kind of beelining towards me, she'll nudge me twice, and I know to just log off.
Log off and put your hands up?
Yeah, hands up, and then, you just log off, and then when they tell you to log in, you're just like... I can't. This was someone else logged in for me. I'm playing on somebody else's account. That's the excuse I would normally use. Then what, another tactic we learned was you throw some fidget spinners out. They get distracted pretty easily. Fast enough for you to leave the library and go to the next one.
Yeah, you can always dab on them. Dab on the haters. Anyways.
And then they think you're part of one of them, and they're just like, perfect. You've probably stolen that account from somebody else who was already on that computer.
Yep. Why does that account only have 1 defense, Dilz? You should get it 30 defense.
And then you kind of forced to, right? You got to play along. You go, yeah, of course. This is some other guy's peer. Let's get the defense up.
Yeah. But yeah, on Saturday, the 6th, so the day after, from 10 a.m. to midnight, so all day, it's like, I don't know, they call it the biggest old school and RuneScape and old school extravaganza ever. They have a main stage showcase. They have activities. They have panel sessions, meetups with JMods, content creators, all that good stuff.
I hope they have like IRL skilling sections where they just have like a tree. You can like woodcut it or something.
Yeah. Maybe like a bird so you can like, take manip teaks.
Do you have to punch the bird?
No, the bird attacks you while you woodcut and then like periodically dropping logs. You can also fletch while you're doing it. There's a lot of cool things you can do.
Yeah, and there's birds that do that. There's I know in Australia they have, I can't remember what it's called, but that bird that like is a little shit and will swoop out of the trees and like attack you if you get too close to it.
I don't know.
I forget what it's called.
Yeah, RuneScape Live and Runefest will be included in the one tickets, pretty much.
Good deal.
The limited early bird offer is 135 euros. Or not euros, fucking... Pounds, imagination money.
So 135 to Canadian. Holy shit, $235.
Standard is 150.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And I see it mentioned here that the night before party is going to be at Namco Fun World. I have no idea what that is, but that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Tickets are super expensive, and the venue is fucking huge. I really hope they don't get burnt too much.
Like, it's going to cost them too much, and they have to...
Like, they're going to lose a bunch of money on this.
I'm hoping the best. It does look like an awesome venue.
Next thing you know, $20 memberships after RuneFest. They realized the big mistake they made.
And it's only for like 6 months, and it's just like, I know some people are paying $5, but you really got to help it. We're bankrupt. We're hiding this from the Chinese overlords because if they find out, they're just going to shut everything down. They're going to steal all of the money on old school RuneScape and RuneScape 3. They're going to real world trade it somehow, and that's how they're going to get their money back.
It's like Wikipedia, how you can opt in to donate, but sometimes they threaten to shut down because they don't have enough money, so you have to donate to them. It's going to be like that with Old School.
Old School's only open for like 6 hours a day from this certain time period each day. You're like, ugh. Man,
they work up a Patreon where they have like JMod lewds and stuff. They just do anything for money.
With $1,000 a month, you can play old school RuneScape. Man, that's steep.
You get the diamond package, Mod Ash, sexy fishing, wearing half an angler's outfit fishing. Anyways, they give some like information of like hotels, airports, driving, and all that stuff, trains, parking, but. Yeah, I don't know.
If you're going there, don't listen to the podcast for that information. Just Google Map it or something.
Yeah, go look for... You don't want to take our word on it, 'cause I don't think I'm going to go.
No.
Very expensive.
It's a little steep.
I guess this is it for the news, and we got bigger and better things to talk about in terms of community.
Of course. The hot topic of the week, I suppose.
Yeah.
What everyone's been talking about, and it's the Rev Caves for this month.
Yeah, so Wilderness Rejuvenation Part 3.
Yeah. Quickly to start it off, which is kind of like perfect and the worst timing at the same time, because last week we spent about an hour talking about all 3 different third-party clients in old school RuneScape. We saw RuneLite kind of make its appearance, and a lot of people started using it. And perfect timing. We talked about all the pros and cons of each client. Jagex decides to come up and just fucking sever some of that shit and make all of that hour-long talk almost irrelevant.
During the editing process, it's like, yeah, then this news comes out. So it's like, it's a little bit late, but it's fine. It's all, we'll take you through the timeline. So Monday, May 14th, Adam, the main developer for RuneLite, gets threatened to shut down by Mod Matt K. I mean, he was, I guess Mod Matt K was the messenger.
He is the villain in this story.
Yeah, well, he's the face of it. He's taken one for the team. There's someone telling him to tell him this. I don't think it's Mod Matt K's idea. I think it's just a messenger. But anyways, so Mod Matt K informs Adam that he has to shut down RuneLite, and they threaten legal action against RuneLite for copyright infringement if it's not shut down by the end of the week. So Adam, being the guy he is, inquires exactly what parts of RuneLite violate Jagex's copyright, and he'd be willing to take it out or take it down and fix the issue, and offers to close source on the project. But Mod Matt K says, regardless, your project has to be shut down. He doesn't give any specifics about copyright infringement claims. He just says legal actions will be taken.
Yep.
When asked about the what's happening with OS Buddy and Conduit, he says that they were working on it, but RuneLite was the first to be contacted. Yeah, we have mentioned it. I guess last week we talked about how like a lot of plugins get taken out because they're a little bit overpowered. And so RuneLite is kind of in that gray area, but it's also within like in a gray area of like copyright law. And, you know, he's no lawyer, so he doesn't know exactly what would go down, but like he said, he has no issues with, you know, taking out the parts that Jagex wants him to take out. He just doesn't really want the client to be taken down. The main thing is that he doesn't want to close his third-party client. He doesn't want to close RuneLite if OS Buddy and Conduit are still able to operate.
Yeah, he even mentioned that he has no problem shutting down RuneLite as long as both Conduit and OS Buddy shut down with it at the same time.
Yeah. You know, Adam mentions in this post that he does agree that RuneLite does threaten the integrity of the game. All third-party clients do, regardless, even if it's quote-unquote quality of life.
100%.
No matter what, it does threaten the integrity of the game. But the biggest issue is that for the longest time, you would have to buy OS Buddy to gain the same advantages as RuneLite.
Yep.
And RuneLite exists to level the playing field as to who can develop on the client and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it's for people who don't want to shell out some extra money for a competitive advantage or casual advantage, any advantage really, but pretty weird that he mentions this. It's pretty weird that this is the thing, and he mentions that. Anyways, so at this time, he asks for a copyright lawyer to contact him. Cue, I guess, Reddit throwing shit everywhere.
Yep, they set fire to the building.
They flipped out. You go to World 2, Falador, and was it World 2 or was it World 65 or 66? I forget. One of the worlds.
66 a PvP world, or no, it's a total level world. So
okay, so probably World 2 then. You know, riots, all that typical stuff. You couldn't really use the subreddit this week because it's still being bombarded with like conspiracy theories and memes and stuff like that of this whole ordeal. Alright, so the next update, which was a day after, so the 15th of May, on a Tuesday. So at this point, Jagex contacts them and they say that with the de-obfuscating tool they have...
Sounds like a made-up word.
Yeah.
It's not. It's an actual word, but when I heard him say it, I'm like, that's a RuneScape word.
It's a Gilnar word. It's pretty much like a tool that like helps, from what I think, decipher code and then republish code. I don't exactly know what a I can't even say the fucking word. God damn.
My understanding of it from watching the Q&A this week and stuff like that is that it's something that hides what you're doing on your end and hides it from exactly what's going on to Jagex. So there's like, it puts a barrier up so that maybe your actions, because we've talked about before how they can almost know exactly what you're doing. They know what you're saying, the trades that go on, who it's trading to, and then who that trades to. So my understanding is this puts a barrier up that it prevents some information from crossing it to Jagex.
Yeah, it's like a tool that makes tough code or like complicated code into like simple and into a simple and understandable form. And yeah, it's generally used to mod or tinker with said code, and that's what they use for third-party clients. So, you know, their main reason is that this de-obfuscating tools that they have like just open really is bad for the integrity of the game in terms of, they say it makes it easier for people to bot or to code bots, all that stuff. So what Adam does is he takes all the tools and the RuneScape client from GitHub, and he removed it from all distribution servers, you know, so no one could use them anymore. And he turns RuneLite into a partially open source program.
Right.
Which, you know, makes it a little bit harder to pump out updates and all that stuff. You know, he does acknowledge that it does help for botting, but, you know, botting has always been an issue, like always. So I don't know if this has really been the biggest thing, but it definitely doesn't help.
I did read something when it came to botting, because that was the thing. A lot of people what he said was, with RuneLite having these obfuscating tools, it allowed bots to easily play the game. And we've talked before that we kind of assumed that bots had their own client that they were using, like let's say like RS bot, that's the client. We just assume that that's what they're using. But I read about from people who had made bot scripts and who had more knowledge on that subject, that what some clients will do is they'll have the botting script that will use the client, and that client will kind of mirror another third-party client, and then that plays RuneScape. This way, it just creates all these different, again, barriers to kind of like, you know what I mean, cover up that they're using a third or fourth-party client.
Third party.
Double third-party client. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be like using TeamViewer through another. I don't know if that is a good analogy. TeamViewer through another third party.
It just masks. It just masks which client is actually being used at the time.
Yeah. So it's a fair argument to make.
Yeah. So here's where things get pretty squirrely, because in the beginning everyone's like, "Oh fuck!" Like yesterday, I guess in terms of the timeline, on the Monday, everyone's like, "Shit! All third party clients are going down." During that day, and then around this day, on like the next day,
So we're on the 15th.
Yeah, so like for the 14th to the 15th, now people have found out that OS Buddy isn't going to be taken down, and Conduit hasn't even been contacted. They're not going to be taken down as well. People start to realize it's just RuneLight being targeted. So things get real squirrely. A lot of anger, I guess, from the community,
Which is fair.
Yeah, of course. Adam does reiterate that he has no issue shutting down, but all clients should be shut down as well.
Yep.
And all that stuff. At this point, people start looking into the other clients. People are like jumping into the other Discords and seeing what's up. The day of or the day before, OS Buddy comes out with an update that releases a lot of its pro plugins. Like they turn a lot of pro plugins into just the free version, into the base.
Yeah, we talked last week how since RuneLight started making its appearance on the field of clients, OS Buddy started pumping out a lot more updates than normally because they knew they had to kind of compete with it. And I guess as you mentioned now, they're making a lot of the pro features free so that people don't feel the need to go to RuneLight because they're like, oh, for the free version, OS Buddy now has it. You don't got to pay the $2 because that's a big deal when it comes to choosing your third-party client. You know what I mean? One's free. One increases your membership by $2.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, sorry. No, I kind of mixed up the timeline. This OS Buddy update comes out the day later. So this is all happening on the 15th. Everyone starts freaking out about, OS Buddy, I don't want to pay for this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And OS Buddy comes out with making, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, like 15, 16. They've made like they made like around 16 plugins come out for free.
Okay, that's
you know what I mean? Like big updates, a lot of optimization, blah, 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 blah. And they also announced their own version of a closed source or half open. They're opening up part of their API for people to help.
Right, so people can look at the code, I guess, and then they can be like,
and contribute.
Here's an idea for a new plugin. Yeah, and they submit it. The people behind OS Buddy go, approve, less work for us, and cool feature we might not have thought of.
But the main thing is you're helping developers make money off you.
Yeah, especially with a membership when you're paying a $2 fee each. I guess not membership, but subscription.
Yep. This is the nice thing, is that like throughout the whole, like these like 3 or 4 days that went on, is everyone's freaking out about RuneLight being closed down, and everyone's freaking out that OS Buddy's staying open. It's a worse client, and you have to pay for your advantages. Like I get like 30 FPS on OS Buddy, and I mentioned this before, but I also get 50 on RuneLight and Conduit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And like I'd have to pay if I was only allowed to use OS Buddy, you know what I mean? Like I'd be pretty pissed because I'm paying for like, the issue is like I don't even care about the plugins. It's like I'm losing FPS. Like the quality of the game itself is going down. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So a lot of people are kind of complaining about. Yeah, a lot of riots. Blah 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 blah. And on this day, RuneLight. So on the 15th, RuneLight halts production of updates. So this is the Tuesday. They're halting productions.
They're preparing to shut down in the next week or so, it seems like.
Yeah. Next day. This is when OS Buddy starts pumping out like one of its biggest updates in a long time.
So we're on the May 16th right now.
Yeah. And they had a deal at the time for reduced membership. And so things started coming off as super like weird because
everything's lining up, isn't it?
And yeah, everyone's super upset. They're like, look at OS Buddy pumping out their shit. They're kind of ready to absorb all the people that left their client. On the 16th, they release, the Jagex releases a dev blog, and they want to discuss the third-party clients. So discussing about third-party clients, specifically RuneLite, has been ongoing overnight, and they'd like to address some speculations and concerns of our players. So during this prearranged meeting with the RuneLite developer, they outlined their concerns with the nature of the client and asked for its immediate closure without needing to escalate to legal actions. They did this because they believed RuneLite was infringing on Jagex's IP rights and damaging the game, which goes against their commitment to their community and maintaining the integrity of the game. They talk about the tool, deobfuscator, and whatever, and then republishing the code. They agree that it seems pretty heavy-handed, but they kind of...
Yeah, I feel like they need to nip this in the butt before this becomes like a hot thing to do for botters, like hot thing to use.
Yeah. They don't want people adapting and creating more bot scripts and updating their bot scripts. They understand that RuneLite is a very valuable utility for a lot of old school players, especially at this point, and they're sorry, but it has to be done for the long-term health of the game. And they pretty much say, stop harassing Mod Matt K, because people, how this community gets.
Which is fair. There's been a lot of shitty things said. Like, to be angry is one thing, but to be, like, toxic and say some very hateful things, that's a whole... You kind of hurt your argument. You know what I mean?
Yep. During the same day, they had a live Q&A type thing, and where they talked about, like, the whole ordeal, and first question was asked was... Why RuneLite? Why is only RuneLite? And they say because it's open source and they have deobfuscated code that's publicly published. And then the next follow-up question is, well, what if they take it all down? Then they say, well, that doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like, well, then what's the actual reason? Because now this isn't up, but they still want to take it down.
It is important to note that they do distinguish that a player primarily using RuneLite will not be banned.
Yeah, so everyone who says that they've been banned using RuneLite, it's complete bullshit. They say that you won't get banned for using RuneLite. I mean, I've been using it like a shit ton, and I was even using it during its dark time, I guess.
Its darkest hours. But like, this is a worry for many people because when OSHD, that was a client that was in development, which was basically a normal client for old school RuneScape, but all it did was bring the graphics up to the HD graphics that were released in, I believe, 2012. A lot of people love those graphics, but some people are getting banned by their auto-banning system because the client just was fishy.
The client was, like, it was ripped code from a private server.
And their systems would detect it as, like, basically the same as botting.
Because it pretty much, like, it's the equivalent of that. There was nothing, like, the client itself was pretty sketch in terms of, like, how the client was made.
Yep.
They pretty much ripped a bunch of code from a bunch of private servers, so it's kind of sketch. They wouldn't even give the codes to Jagex.
That was the biggest problem. Jagex said, send us the codes, we'll look it over, and we'll approve it. Never happened, so they had to shut it down.
Yeah. So after this whole ordeal with the community, once Jagex starts talking about it, the community starts freaking out even more because it's kind of like, well, this isn't okay. What's going on? Because they're pretty much saying that they don't like RuneLite, so they're just going to take it down because it did something they didn't like in the past, and they're willing to fix it, but who cares? Later on throughout the day, the 16th, pretty much 17th, like almost 12 at night, they give an update and they said they're talking to the RuneLite dev, Adam, and they're going to temporarily hold off legal action and all that stuff.
Yeah, in regards to Adam closing the obfuscating tools and making it more closed source, as well as pausing actual development during the time.
But yeah, and then we skip to Friday, the 18th. So now it's Friday the 18th, and Jagex has decided to give the okay to RuneLite, and RuneLite is back in business, and they get an update later on that day. All is good.
So we're back on track.
Yeah, pretty much nothing. Pretty much, if you're not like in tune with the community and you're using RuneLite, you didn't really notice anything.
If you're playing on the official client, this is like irrelevant news to you.
Yeah.
You walking through Falador on World 2 and you're like, is there a drop party here? What the hell's going on?
Yeah. So during this whole timeline, we kind of just talked about RuneLite's side mainly. I mean, Conduit just chilled.
Yeah.
You know, Conduit's just chilling.
He sat in the backseat being like, whoa, I'm going to let these two fight it out.
Conduit's doing raids because that's what Conduit does best, you know.
Sure.
But so that's pretty much what was going on with RuneLite. With OS Buddy side of things, it gets kind of sketchy in terms of like it's pretty shady, like what a lot of people kind of think. People think some shady things have been going on between Jagex and OS Buddy, and this caused this weird week of almost losing a third-party client.
Yeah, we got it. We got him back though, but he's on life support for the time being. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of conspiracies going on. So is that what I'm hearing right now?
I think so. So during this whole time period, people are kind of sifting through OS Buddy's relation with Jagex. This stuff is pretty well known. So OS Buddy, previously known as Orion Client, previously known as RS Buddy. RS Buddy was a botting program way back in the day.
It was a very popular botting program.
Yeah, it was like the botting program to use. And at some point, didn't Jagex buy it out? They bought out PowerBot or RS Buddy? I don't know. But the guy who developed it...
The guy who had developed it got brought onto the Jagex team for a time in order to help prevent some of the bots coming into the game.
Yeah.
We see this a lot with other things where, like, with Sony and PlayStation, in the past, we had seen somebody who would hack the servers for PlayStation 3, I think it was, and they would cause a lot of problems. But their intention wasn't to take away things from people using it. Like, they were not going to steal your credit card information and stuff like that. That did happen, but there's a few times where that wasn't what they were aiming for. What they wanted was for Sony to hire him so that he can prevent other people from hacking.
Yeah.
Which is what we kind of saw with Jagex here.
Yeah, he was making a bunch of money off botting. Jagex is like, hey, come work with us, help us, build anti-botting tools. And he pretty much developed their anti-cheat system they have today, which is why you can skip random events and stuff like that, because that was their previous anti-botting tool. Yeah, so we helped it a lot for botting, and then eventually, left because we talked about it before, but you don't really make that much money working at Jagex.
No, it's a passion project.
Yeah, he eventually leaves, and he starts the Orion client, which is a third-party client, which later gets turned into OS Buddy.
Mm-hmm.
During this whole time, it's pretty obvious that his name was, Mod Jack Mob.
Okay.
They kept in, close communication with Jagex throughout the whole development phase of OS Buddy and all this stuff, and, for, the longest time, OS Buddy, you just download it, right?
Yep.
You tell someone to try out RuneScape, they're like, okay, I made an account, okay, go to rsbuddy.com, download OS Buddy. That's what you would do.
Mm-hmm.
And Jagex is fine with it. Jagex even vouched for this client and said it was the official third-party client at one point. And on stream, on developer streams and stuff like that, when they're doing, loot from 1,000 blanks or whatever, they use OS Buddy Pro.
Yeah. For a long time, we mentioned last week that it was basically the only client to use.
Yeah, it was the client. And keep in mind, you do have to pay for this. So if you're... I think a lot of people, they pay for membership with their actual money, and then they pay for OS Buddy client.
Yep.
Which is what, £3 or something? I don't know. $3 a month?
I think I'm paying $2 a month.
£2 or $2?
I'm pretty sure it's $2 I'm paying.
So I guess it depends, but it's £2.50 reoccurring 1 month. So that'll be a bit more.
Am I paying $5 for this shit?
Probably.
So I have a $17 subscription to play this goddamn game?
Oh yeah, dude. Tack that onto your your membership, you're paying a bit more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, $17, yeah.
People have been conspiring to assume, not conspiring, but people have developed this like conspiracy theory of like Jagex must be getting a portion of OS Buddy money because during this whole RuneLite rise, the first time we mentioned it, I made a note. The first time we talked about RuneLite, it had 8,000 users concurrently.
Yep.
When we did our reviews, it was at 10,000 at the time. I think we said 10,000 players concurrent.
It was like doubling each week.
Yeah. Maybe it was like 14. I don't know, but yeah.
And I saw in the clan chat, tons of people were switching to RuneLite. Someone would start playing, and they'd be like, what client's everyone using? And you would just see all these people who were previously using OS Buddy, now using RuneLite.
It starts off with like, you guys try out RuneLite? Nah, is it worth it? Man, give it a shot. And then people are like, dude, I fucking love this client. And then like it turns into like everyone's using RuneLite. It's like a mass migration of everyone going to RuneLite. A lot of people canceling their subscriptions. If you looked at the RS Buddy website, it at a time was at like an all-time low because it says current players, using OS Buddy. And the big thing to mention is that the reason why OS Buddy's price guide is so good is because so many people used it. Mm-hmm. And that's one of its biggest features right now is that it has an accurate price guide, but less people using it, it's bad. A lot of people are unsubbing to go to use this free client, and people speculate that OS Buddy and Jagex were talking, and we're like, all right, let's take this bitch out. Let's get RuneLite out of here.
Well, if you think about it, if they are getting a cut from it, suddenly Jagex is like, hey, listen, you're paying us like 50 grand a month. I'm just making that number up. Let's just go with it. You're paying us 50 grand a month, but now all of a sudden you're paying us 30 grand a month. Like, is this a trend that's going to keep going on? Because we can't keep having this under the table partnership going on if you ain't making the cut. You know what I mean?
You could argue that before RuneLite was a thing, that OS Buddy was making over £75,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like $500,000 Canadian.
That's like $1 million Monopoly bucks.
Shit.
Yeah, like no, but it's actually like really good money because the majority of the player base used OS Buddy.
Yeah. And when you're the only client there, you don't even need to bring out updates.
Yep.
You keep the client at default from what you had it like 2 years ago, and you just rake in all this easy cash.
That's kind of what they did too. Look at the update logs. Complete trash water up until this past week.
Mm-hmm.
And there was weird things like, their membership went on sale for a day or two while RuneLite was being cease and desisted. Almost being cease and desisted.
Yep.
Like, a lot of really weird things are going on. I mean, I guess not everyone who uses OS Buddy pays for it, but most people do eventually.
A fair amount of people, more people pay for it than you would expect.
Yeah. I most people that use it, I think like maybe 10% don't actually pay for it. Most people I talk to just have Pro, because
Mm-hmm.
It's not that much money to get an advantage.
It's a little pay to win.
Like everything aside, that like there's no like actual like, hey, this is like a billing transaction of OS Buddy sending Jagex money, but like it is possible that is a thing.
Could be possible.
Yeah.
Because they do seem to get a little bit of Jagex favoritism.
Yeah, well, Jagex has openly said that OS Buddy is the official third-party client.
They say it, but don't say it at the same time, because they also say, no matter what, your account is always slightly at risk when using a third party. The only way to be completely safe is to use the official client. I think they
legally have to say that, though.
Well, it's true though, because what if one day this guy turns around who's developing it and he's like, you know what? I'm going to turn around and snag all these items. I have all this information. I could sell it, whatever it is. It probably won't happen, to be honest, but the possibility is always there. Jagex needs to expect the worst, hope for the best.
Keep in mind, that is one thing people have been saying, is that this client, which was once a botting tool, and people claim to say there's been like number one voted comments on some Reddit posts of people saying that like this guy straight up had a stream where he was hacking people on his botting client, but I could not find any evidence of that. So people will, like, you probably, if you've been on Reddit at some point this week, you've probably seen that like a good handful of times.
Yeah, you need to sift through this stuff, because even with the Deadman mode world happening in a regular world, when that whole fiasco happened, a lot of people came out and said, hey, look, I died as well, which was false.
Yeah, keep in mind, some of this, like, most of the conspiracy stuff, there's, like, literally zero evidence, but there is some, like, pretty sketchy things that go on in terms of, like, even with no evidence, it is pretty weird that RuneLite is getting hit pretty hard.
Yep. Another very weird thing, one of the days, one of the developers, or at least admins on their Discord server, RSB Fox, he made a comment saying, OS Buddy is going to be fine. I cannot explain because of an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
So what exactly does that mean? What are they not able to talk about?
Well, they have a legal contract with Jagex, which is weird. Conduit, I don't think has one. RuneLite definitely doesn't have one.
There are rumors that the developers for OS Buddy are working with Jagex to create a Deadman mode tournament client. Rumors.
Don't they use OS Buddy client for the Deadman mode tournaments?
That I'm not too sure.
But I know they do work with them for some plugins for Deadman mode. I know that.
Possible. Another very sketchy thing, this is kind of weird. OS Buddy has offices down the street from the Jagex headquarters. Is that not weird?
I want to say not really.
I just think it's weird they have offices to begin with.
Yeah, it's not in some dude's basement.
You could walk to Jagex for lunch.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of our conspiracy action. Jagex getting paid under the table by a third-party client, which allows them to step away from this battle between other third-party clients, actually one other third-party client, and Jagex itself.
Yeah.
RuneLite did walk away, but not without some battle wounds. Having to become a closed source client, having to stop development for about a week, at least a week.
I must say, though, this whole ordeal actually benefited RuneLite. People have, like, mass unsubscribed from OS Buddy. Lots and lots of people have left OS Buddy to the point where they've been fudging their numbers in client to show how many people are playing. In terms of the RuneScape 3 thing, where if the client is just open, it's counting as people currently playing, kind of like RuneScape 3. Kind of sketchy. Anyways, so before the whole ordeal, RuneLite's Patreon had 44 Patreons and 150, like rounding up, but $150 they're getting per month. 44 Patrons supporting, little bit over $3 each. Now
who's getting paid though? Is it just the main guy behind RuneLite, or because if anyone could contribute to it?
No, it's just the main dev.
Yeah, okay, well,
I mean, he's the one putting all the money.
And it's Patreon. It's something you do to, like, support something you like. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's not like you're paying for extra features. It's just to be like, hey, I make fair money every week for my job. I don't mind doing that for this client over another client, which you could pay for and get more benefits from. It's kind of like a protest in this scenario.
So after this whole ordeal, there's now 135 Patreons, $445 per month.
Wow, so tripled almost.
Yeah. Big improvements in terms of, support, I guess.
And here's the thing. Well, I was going to say, in the end of this whole issue, in the end, we benefit as players, but at the same time, we don't, because if you're using RuneLite and now it's closed source and now you're not going to be getting as many updates as before, not so good. It helps in the sense that if you're an OS Buddy user, but you didn't use the Pro, now you're kind of gaining all this free stuff.
Yeah, you're getting the same, well, you're getting more features, better FPS, and no money. if you swapped in this whole ordeal.
Yeah.
Before this whole update, when we first talked about clients, there was 8,000 people that were using the client. So when we recorded, this stuff came out literally the next day after recording. Like, we recorded it during the next day of editing. All this shit came out. So between, day 0, I guess, day -1 and day 1, RuneLite hit 10,000 people playing, like, concurrent. And as of right now, there's 20,000 people.
Okay, so
literally doubled.
They say no publicity is bad publicity.
Well, it's bad publicity isn't it? All publicity is good publicity. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I might have messed that up because OS Buddy has been getting a lot of publicity, and I guess they're not doing as well in that.
Well, it's
sense.
more of, you guys should unsub because I'm doing it too. Yeah, man, let's all do it. All right, we've all unsubbed. Let's get front page by showing us like being about to unsub. Hey, look, Fartsucker 68 is unsubbing from OS Buddy. Let's get him to the front page, boys.
Yeah.
A lot of people unsubbing and swapping over, like literally doubling in 1 week. Like that's insane.
Yeah, that's good. What really needs to happen is hopefully this kick fires something under Jagex's asses and they start heavily working on their own official client.
They're not going to.
It would be nice.
It makes sense, though, on why their base client is so shit, because they want you to use OS Buddy.
Yeah, it's making some cuts, maybe.
Yeah.
Again, all of it's just rumors. They're just a bit of a conspiracy. Some conspiracies turn out to be true, though. But no one can really know for sure. At this time, at least.
I feel like with all the clients, it's like OS Buddy and like RuneLite are like getting all these fights and stuff, and then Conduit's like that stoner just sitting in the corner, like, all right, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna stay in the shadows.
Hopefully,
hey, yeah, I know I didn't show up to class all semester, but I'm here now. Like, the developer literally quit for the longest time.
Yeah.
Came back, did like one update for raids, which was a fucking sweet update, and like that's pretty much it.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's it for that. We still have some more to talk about though. Mod Infinity has, well, this, depending on who you are, this is good news or bad news, but Mod Infinity has left Jagex.
Yep. Mod Infinity was the main person working on the support end of things. So he was working on like their anti-cheat engine. He worked on preventing bots from getting in the game and stuff like that. If you had gotten to the front page of Reddit saying you were hacked for X amount of money, he was normally the one that would make the comment proving you wrong.
Yeah.
He worked on both RuneScape 3 and Oldschool RuneScape.
Yep. There's a lot of allegations of things he had done, such as potential real world trading up until 2012, taking out permanent mutes, like for clanmates, because, he used to play RuneScape.
Sure, as most
allegations of him forging court documents to shut down an old RuneScape fan site. There's also allegations of him going around banning people and CCs that talk shit about him and all that stuff. So I don't know. He was kind of hated in the RS3 community and he got pushed out, it seems. And then he came to Oldschool and
he always worked on both though, because I know with some of RuneScape 3's live streams, they'd have like a game support week almost where he would come on and he would talk about things to do with botting, things to do with cheating within the game, and he would come on there to talk about it on RuneScape 3. So it seemed like he was behind both games.
That being said, he will be leaving mid-June. So if you hated him, he's gone. If you liked him, he's gone.
He's still gone.
My question is I wonder who's coming in next, and I wonder if there's going to be a difference in support, because like the biggest complaint with support with, it's not just him, but he's a senior support guy, was that to get attention, you'd have to go to Reddit or Twitter.
Yep.
And such, like, just making a post or like a ticket or whatever, you would get an automated response, blah, 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 which is why you see so many JMod quote-unquote smackdowns, was because that was kind of the only way to reach them. So I wonder, with the new senior support staff, whatever, will they just ignore all Reddit posts and just start answering actual tickets? Like, I wonder if anything will actually change. That's my question.
They could have a different approach to things. He might be like, you know what? I don't use this. He could be some like 70-year-old guy who's like, I've been in the gaming support system my whole entire life. Back in my day, we never had this type of shit. We never had Twitter. We never had this. So we could see it where it changes. It could be for the better, where we start seeing your support tickets actually getting answered. And like with mini games has it, you post it in, it'll tell you, bam, it'll take approximately this amount of time. And then you get a response. You'll get an automated response telling you the time it's going to normally take. And then you get a personalized response. You know what I mean? Like sometimes they're long waits. A couple weeks ago, before the mobile beta, before I got that, I've been trying to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links on my phone, and I lost my account information because I never made like a solid account. It was just saved on my phone. But I had spent like $2 on a card pack way back, and I was able to get that receipt from my Google Play. I had to put in a support ticket, basically. And it took about a week for them to reach me, but eventually I got my account back.
Mm-hmm.
Some games do have these long waits, and then you hear back from them. It's not like you never hear back from them. Some games are notoriously bad for it. Like I heard with MapleStory, you put in a support, and you could be left waiting for months.
Or if you're me, you just never get a response.
And you just don't check back because fuck
I've been waiting
right?
for like over 8 years for my response. Dude, let me just go on a little rant. That game is fucking bullshit, alright? So, growing up, I had this kid that would hang around me, and he loved to buy people shit.
He's pretty wealthy.
Yeah, he bought me a bunch of like in-game currency for that. Like he would just like, hey, you want to go to Shoppers and I'll buy you some NX, which is like the in-game currency that, you know, you use to buy cosmetics and shit. All right, man, I'm fucking down. Why not? So he'd go buy me some. You know, you want to know how much this is how I know how much he spent on me, because when they changed the way their system works in terms of receiving microtransactions, me and a bunch of other people got banned because it falsified the money that we spent. Like it said that we didn't actually spend the money, but we got the rewards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I log in, it says you have to pay $240 to get your account back. That's how much money he spent on my account. Keep in mind, I never pushed him to do it. He did it all on his own. He liked doing it. He's fucking weird.
This was a kid who like enjoyed watching people play video games, but he wasn't either good at them or just didn't like to do it himself. So a lot of times he'd come over. I remember being like, hey, Deagin or Dilz, want to play some MapleStory? And you're like, not really. He's like, come on, I'll buy some NX cash, and then you can use it to buy some really good items, and then you can go kill some bosses or whatever. And you're like, well, okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
Because I remember that same person bought a video game for my birthday for me, which is kind of, you get to a certain age where you're not that close, where you're like, you shouldn't really be spending $50 on me. But he did it so he could watch me play it.
Yeah. He bought me a PS2.
Oh, I want to watch you play tons of games.
I didn't even know him that well. I met him once, and I was at your birthday. And he was like, hey, Derek, hey, Deagin, you remember me? Oh, hey, buddy, what's up? Here's your gift. What the fuck? Yeah, it's a PS2. There's some games. You want to go play it? Yeah.
I bought you all the games I want to watch you do a Let's Play of. Yeah. It's like, yeah, he wants to watch you do an IRL Let's Play.
Yeah, he loves PewDiePie. Let's just say that.
Fair enough.
He likes watching those Let's Plays. Anyways, main reason I bring that up is that my main character's name was too long. There was too many I's and L's in the name that you couldn't actually enter it in the support thing for what your character's name was, or on the high scores. That's how shitty the game was back then. And then also I sent in 20 fucking tickets over a course of a whole year because I really wanted my account, because I had some really unique names and I had some fucking sick items and some sick characters. And I have never gotten a response. Here, let me go open up my email because I still have the same email. Guarantee you I never got a response. I mean, the email's probably been deleted, but...
I hope you got a response, 7 years later, and they say, sorry, we can't help you with that request.
No, because this is what happens. Every time I want to play the game, because I get random, nostalgia trips, right?
Of course.
I go to my email, type in the company's name, I'll type in, I see all my support tickets still here. Holy fuck. May 6th, 2010, or 2010, right here. Thursday, May 6th, 2010.
Good stuff.
Okay, this is actually the whole thing. Hey, haven't played, I'm going to like paraphrase, this is a long thing. Hey, Nexon, I haven't played MapleStory in a while, decided to get back into it. I'm banned from a payment issue. This can't be possible. Use it like the card, the prepaid cards, blah, 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 blah. And then they said, sorry, we need your in-game name. And then I respond, this is my account name. These are my character names. Blah, 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 blah. And I never got a response.
Yikes.
Yeah. So you say Jagex support is bad. I'm still waiting literally 10 years.
We know at least one company with worse support. Anyways, to round this back over to Jagex, we might see a shift in it where they prioritize the website's support more, or it could end up with just a shittier support system, right? We don't know.
Yeah. I also sent another one in 2011 and another one in 2012, and they never got responded to. Should say that. Anyways, so hopefully the new support staff won't leave me in the dark for fucking 8 years. 8 goddamn years. There's the second iteration of the game is coming out before they actually responded to my email.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm still pissed. Fuck, I want to try and get that account back now. I'm gonna do that after this episode. I send in another email.
On the topic of bots, I guess the support, whatever, there was a user on Reddit who posted a video named Cheeky Bots. And I guess I don't know if he says he's someone who's been kind of in the know for botting, but he created a botting script and put them on Tutorial Island. And what this botting script did was in that one world, it would record every single person's name that would start a new account, and then they would kind of track them to see what they did. So Jagex had said that most of the bots get banned on Tutorial Island. But from this guy's video, he was able to kind of see who made it off, how long it took them to get off, and who didn't. So he recorded just under... He basically recorded 750 different accounts. And from his tracking, he found that 153 of them got banned on Tutorial Island, whereas 504 bots made it off. So that's just from 2 worlds, I believe. And so for the bots that made it off Tutorial Island, the average player, normal player, generally should be able to make it off Tutorial Island. He came up with about 7 minutes. Whereas when recording the bots, 23 of the botting accounts took them less than 10 minutes to get off Tutorial Island. Over 100 counts took more than 30 minutes to complete it. So over the time, the median time was about 16 minutes. This isn't for the full 500 who got off, obviously. This is just for a select few, probably on that one world, because from the 2 worlds he recorded. But he also found that there was a handful of bots that took between 1 and 3 hours to get off Tutorial Island, but they still managed to get off of it. So it makes me wonder if Jagex is kind of either this select scenario, more are getting off than the average, or if Jagex is just not banning as many as they think.
I mean, keep in mind that the sample size, he did it, was it twice? He had 2 samples of a good number on different days.
Yeah, it was weeks. Like 2 different worlds, maybe 2 different days.
Yeah, with like more than a week apart.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, like between each test. So it's not like, oh, it was the weekend and all the J-mods are asleep post-stairs. You know what I mean? It's not like,
yeah.
You did one on like a Tuesday during the day and one on like a Friday or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's basically it for things that have been going on within Jagex and the old school RuneScape community.
That's it. That's all. Not too much this week.
Not a whole lot. All right, we're going to move it on to lore now. Last week, we saw the early history of the Great Kourend. Up to the Council of Elders, a group that governed the Great Kourend, created the Royal Accord of Twill, which was a treaty uniting all of the houses of Zea under one government. 10 years after the creation of the Royal Accord, in the 2nd decade, some sort of winter beast appears. Nobody knows what this beast is or where it came from, but it began to ravage the lands north of Kourend, causing them to experience perpetual winter, with livestock and crops dying due to the cold. For 3 decades this happened, with Kourend being unable to subdue this winter beast. Later, it would be known as the Winter Tod. On day 1778, during the 5th decade, Lord Arceus I ordered the construction of the Arceus House Library, a building to be filled with texts, documents, and research from all other houses in order to preserve the history of the Great Kourend, eventually creating a second library within the chambers of the Tower of Magic, known as the Library Historical Archive. This is where they kept the most important texts and documents. These libraries were built in fear that the Wintertodt would eventually spread and consume the entire lands of Xea. On the day 1748, in the 7th decade, a Lovacane smith named Din decided to meet with a religious group that worshipped fire, known as the Order of the Sacred Flame. Din had a plan to defeat this winter beast. It involved the roots of the Bruma tree, which is a magical tree lying within the heart of the frozen lands north of Kourend. These roots were thought to have been able to emit enough heat that would be able to subdue this winter beast. Din then proposed to construct a large prison in which to trap the Wintertodt in, seal it with large doors made from various metals, such as lovakite and bark from the Bruma tree, whereafter the Order of the Sacred Flame would then enchant these doors to prevent the Wintertodt from ever breaking through to the rest of Xea. This prison took 800 days to be constructed, and during this time, 18 members of the Order of the Sacred Flame were killed by the Wintertodt. On day 2548 in the 7th decade, the Wintertodt was finally imprisoned within the doors of Din, where Lord Lovacane II then declared this day as Winter's End. The cycle of succession then continued between the lords of each houses, taking the throne and governing the Great Kourend. This happened up until day 1048 of the 13th decade, where Lord Shazian III seized control of Great Kourend, using the military under his command, taking the throne and crowning himself king. He then replaced the royal accord with his own royal charter, and then formed the state of Kourend, which would serve the monarchy, govern revenue, and mobilize forces. In the 20th decade, King Shazian IV married the daughter of Lord Hosidius. Their son was crowned king 3 decades later. He took the name King Hosidius IV in order to distance the family from breaking the royal accord. King Hosidius IV ruled for 5 decades, whereafter their son succeeded to the throne, known as King Hosidius V, where he ruled for over 100 years, up to the 32nd decade. During the 32nd decade, the Arceus house had uncovered more powers within the Dark Altar, allowing them to have immortality. The son of King Hosidius V took his grandfather's name, and when he took the throne, he was known as King Shazian VII. He took a great interest with the Dark Altar and the studies from the Arceus house. He had spent a large majority of his time within the Tower of Magic, where he performed many experiments on citizens. During this time, he oversaw large construction of new rooms within the Tower of Magic. On the day 1740, on the 36th decade, the king, seeking to expand the territory of Great Kourend, ordered an expedition to explore the western lands of the kingdom, known as the Cabos region. A team assembled by Lord Shazian surveyed the immediate area west of Kourend in order to assess the danger and scope of the king's expedition. 33 days later, the survey team returned. They reported findings of a mountain beyond the swamps of the region. King Shazian VII then ordered to have the mountain as their main focus for their expedition, and assigned Magnus Remor, a Shazian commander and seasoned explorer, as the party leader. Magnus recruited 5 other members for his party: Dr. Bev Crusham, Lieutenant Thomas Berlin, Sergeant Henno Garvey, Corporal Ryden Edshert, and Corporal Keith Jones. King Shazian VII gave the party 250 days to ascend the mountain and return with details of their findings, although the expedition would later become a failure, as the party never returned, assuming that they had perished in the fields. The mountain would then become known as Mount Quidamorton. During the time that the party was out on their expedition, King Shazian VII ordered the construction of a prison within the Tower of Magic. In the 37th decade, a temple is created inside of a cave on Mount Quidamorton. Within the temple, an unstable Dark Altar is created, which was able to amplify the Dark Altar's powers, allowing it to reach areas it previously could not. In this temple, King Shazian VII began experimenting on the lizards with the Dark Altar. Eventually, this led to using the power from the Dark Altar to breed humans and lizards together in hopes of creating a super army for the Great Kourend. The creatures that came out of these experiments would later then be known as lizardmen. Next week, we see war break out on the Great Kourend. We see the fall and rise of the corrupt king and many members of the great houses of Zaya be executed. All right, so a couple things to talk about kind of within the podcast, I suppose. We got a email from a listener, but on top of that, we talked last week or a week before that. I can't remember, but we're talking about the summer special that they were coming out, and you thought that this might be a way for them to get you to pay the new price of membership when that adjustment happens. So for anybody else, you're grandfathered in from what you're previously paying. There's people who have been subscribed since 2004 and paying like $5 a month still. You speculated that with this new summer special where you'll be making this deal for 3 months or whatever it is, afterwards you might have to resubscribe and you might have to click on the new price of things because they're both happening around the same time, the adjustment and the summer special.
Mm-hmm.
A user in our Discord, CHK, sent a message talking about it because he was someone who had paid for the summer special previously last summer. So what he says is, I started playing Oldschool RuneScape again last summer when I saw there was a special. It didn't renew my subscription automatically after that special because I'm assuming they didn't want to charge me 3 months without warning. So he had to manually resub after the special and pay full price. I don't recall there being an adjustment in prices back then, but for that specific situation, which makes sense, they're not going to just put you back on a 3-month occurring. What if you're not really paying for RuneScape that much because you're on a tight budget, and then finally you see this summer special and you can work that into your budget? So you're like, okay, I'll do this, but once it goes back to normal pricing, I can't afford that, so I'm going to have to cancel it then. Instead of them charging you 3 months once it's over, or a month or whatever it is, they'll just cancel it and you'll have to re-sub just to save them some heartache, right? Or headache, I should say.
Yeah, the main thing is I'm thinking is that if you're unsub, the thing is if you're unsub for 14 days, I believe it is. It's pretty much if you use a bond on your account. But like if I think it's a 14-day grace period, but I don't know if it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't know if the special is considered like, oh, your special sub ends and now you have 14 days to resub and keep your old pricing, or if like you have to buy the special and then immediately link up a reoccurring payment for 1 month or whatever you do normally.
Yeah. If anyone out there who's listening who is going to participate in this summer special discount, let us know. Maybe we can track it once it's over. You can let us know if you're paying what you were paying before the summer special, or if you're going to be paying the new pricing. I might actually do it on one of my pure accounts or something just to see if I can track it and see there's a difference afterwards. Anyways, we got an email from listener Dean, and he says, I've been listening to your old podcast, and I heard about the farming idea one of you had being introduced, and also noticed that you guys mentioned the idea of free-to-play Castle Wars, and even bigger, you had the idea for a raid quest before raids was out. You also mentioned killing bosses for hearts to complete the quest, which is what happened with Mage Arena 2. Also wish you guys could bring back the Iron Man challenges because they were very interesting, and you guys should try to make your intros a little bit more interesting. They get a little bit stale. Love the podcast. Keep it up. Oh, on a side note, could you guys please stop pronouncing the H in Deagin? A piece of me dies every time.
Darok. Like that? Darok?
Maybe Darok.
Can we just call it Dorks?
Dorks, that's a good one too.
We call it Dorks from now on.
I think we're mispronouncing every barrel's brother. You know what I mean? You got Deagin, you got Guthanes, you got Kierl.
Okay, yeah.
Toreg, you got Virek, and lastly, you got Achrim.
Can we call it like Dork, Verk, Torg, Carl, and Arim?
What about Guthans? How do you say Guthans?
Guthan.
Guthanes.
Yeah.
The problem with old school RuneScape is that a lot of these words, I still pronounce it the same way I pronounced it when I was a child. Because we've been playing this game for so long. For instance, Ardone or Arduine.
Ardown.
Ardown. For the longest time, I used to call it Ardragon, which is not even close to how you pronounce that word. But even probably when I started in 2013.
You know, you're in like the 4th grade, 3rd grade. It's, you know, of course you're going to look at that and be like, what the fuck? Ardragon. Okay, whatever. There's a G in there. It's close enough.
And you say it that same way for years. And then it's 2013. You know what I mean? You're 20 years old and you're playing this game again. And you're just so used to calling it that. You're just going to keep going with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just safe and I call it Artie.
Yeah, that's the problem. You never say the full one. And when you do, it's Ardragon.
Let's jump back to the beginning of the email and cue the conspiracy music.
Oh, jeez.
Jamflex is stealing our ideas.
You think so?
Maybe. That's kind of funny, though. I like... There's times where like Jagex comes out with an update, and I'm like, did we ever... I feel like we've talked about this before, but I don't go back and listen to our other episodes, because I find either one, I sound drunk for some reason, or two, really nasally, because I'm always... for some reason, I'm like, I'm fine, and then once I start recording, my nose gets all stuffy. So it's either I sound super nasally, or I sound drunk for some reason. I like slur words randomly. I don't enunciate, and it bugs me a lot, so I can't listen to like myself talk.
Trust me, I go back and have to edit. I have the same problem with myself.
Yeah. So I don't know the exact timeline of like me, or not me, but us saying like they should have like imbue, or not the imbue, but the hearts for like Mage Arena 2. That should be a thing, whatever. And then they like do that.
I do know there's some other scenarios where we mentioned something, we talked about it, and later on we saw something. Again, I feel like some of our ideas or what we talk about are kind of more quote unquote popular suggestions where like it's not totally out of left field. For instance, I specifically remember talking about a PvP tournament, like 1v1 team or 1v1 fights and having like 2v2 fights and stuff like that, like little brackets where they got the tournament. I remember you shit on the idea and how bad it was. And then 2 weeks later or something, we hear about this PvP tournament coming out.
Yep.
So it's kind of interesting. Another one was we were talking about one of the first Deadman Mode tournaments, or just one of the earlier ones, and we were talking about ways of fixing it or different ideas for having different Deadman Mode style tournaments. Later on, we get the Wilderness Wars.
Yeah, I remember like but season 1 or 2, we were like, okay, can we just put them in like separate 1v1s? And they do that now, so maybe Jagex listens.
Which is, if that's the case, I'm sorry, Jagex.
Yeah.
We say some pretty gnarly things sometimes.
Except for Mod Jed. I won't take anything back. I'm just saying, they need some support staff.
Wait until the Deagin conspiracy music starts coming on.
Yeah.
This guy's gotten a T-bow drop every single raid he's done for the past, like, 16 raids.
Yeah, Mod Deagin driving an Audi with, like, 4 T-bows in his bank. He's got a level 13 range pure with a fire cape.
Can you imagine? He's a skiller.
Yeah.
All 1 combat
Dude,
stats.
He's got Deagin Skiller has the Callisto KBD, Venonattus, Calphite Queen pet. He's got look at all these pets. He's level 3.
That's what's going to happen when one of us is on the support team, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, though, before we move on, I believe Mod Rock is, by the time you guys hear this, he'll be the first maxed JMod employee.
Completely across every skill.
Well, maxed, yeah.
Nice. Wow. Congrats.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And he only uses the vanilla client too, supposedly. Conspiracy, Runelight, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, before we started recording, actually, like 30 minutes into this podcast, he did his little maxing party that we missed.
Oh, cool. Well, congrats to him. That's wicked. I couldn't imagine working on this game all day and then coming home and jamming it. Actually, I probably could, but still.
Yeah.
Anyways, on the topic of Iron Man challenges, because that's something we did on earlier episodes, and it's something we both really enjoyed, and we still, I think we've had this conversation before, but we've talked about how we could bring it back. Again, the problem was we set like 5 hours each week that we had to play on it, which isn't really that much to do throughout a whole week playing RuneScape. But some weeks it kind of was, just because we just weren't able to play it as much as normally. Life got busy. Deagin might get a huge project dropped on him in school. Something, right? Mm-hmm. So we didn't want to be inconsistent and like have an Iron Man challenge come out like every 3 weeks sometimes, or we didn't also want to have the Iron Man challenge and then one of us come on and being like, yeah, you win this week because I just didn't have time to play it, which we found was kind of happening where, let's say, so if you don't know what our Iron Man challenges was, when we first started this podcast, we wanted to do this thing where each week we would set a challenge that we had to do on our Iron Man accounts. We'd set a set amount of hours that we thought we'd be able to reasonably play, and we'd have a restriction on it. So one of them might be who can get the most gold value that week. The restriction, you could only skill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What we didn't want was like one of us to be busy that week, and it's like, all right, so what did you do? Oh, I just woodcut because I could only do something that's very AFK. So that's why we decided to kind of put it on hold for a very long time, apparently. But we have talked about how we could bring it back because it was fun. It was cool. I felt it was unique too.
I'm pretty sure I'm in the lead too. I think I'm still winning.
I think I have the note written down on one of the notepads. So it's something that I really liked, and I do want to bring it back. Unfortunately, working a full-time job and stuff like that can get kind of hard to manage all these things, as well as kind of playing old school RuneScape on my main. I didn't want to just come home and have to play this Iron Man account if I wanted to go do bosses or go PKing or just whatever it was. But I talked about how I'm probably going to be going back to school in September. This might free up more time for me to be able to set aside to, play RuneScape each week. At the same time, it might do the exact opposite because that means I'm going to have to quit my full-time job. It means I'm going to have to find a part-time job. That one, we'll have to see how that plays out. But it could work out where we might be bringing it back again, in which case, wow, here we go. 4-hour-long podcast. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Another segment to throw in there. And then finally, with our intros that we edit, right now we just keep it the theme music for when you log into Old School RuneScape. At the beginning, we thought it would be very easy for someone looking for an Old School RuneScape podcast to hear that, and they know that's exactly what this show is going to be about. We've also thought about ways, and we've also reached out to people who are in the hobby of making music about coming up with a new theme. But at the same time, we don't want to change things too much and get all RuneScape 3 on it, you know what I mean? We are still trying to figure out how we can maybe update the intro, because it is a little bland. But it's something we actively talk about too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. We're always looking to improve the podcast and stuff like that. When we first got into it, we were super amateur. We had no idea. Our only experience in it was other podcasts we listened to, basically. And over time, we kind of got better. We learned more about audio equipment. We learned more about the editing process. And as well as, hopefully, we learned about different ways we can make the show more entertaining. If you guys have any suggestions as well, we're always happy to hear it. If you have any feedback, whatever it is, please let us know, because it always helps improve on the show itself. Last year, I think it was in September, we had basically a survey on things you liked, things you didn't like, things you want to hear, stuff like that. We kind of had a giveaway. We're probably going to do that again this year in September when we go into our third year of doing it. When we would have completed our second year, we're going into our third year. So yeah, we'll probably do it again and see other ways we can improve the show for everybody out there. That being said, you might be wondering, how can we submit things like suggestions, feedback, stories, whatever it is? There's a number of ways you can do that. First of all, if you want to play with us in-game or hang out in the clan chat, it is WildCC. Our Twitter is @TheWildernessRS. Our Facebook is facebook.com/TheWildernessPodcast. And our email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. We also have a Discord. If you would like to join that, you can find that both posted on Twitter and Facebook. They should be pinned up there. But if you're having problems getting in for whatever reason, let one of us know and we can get you a link so you can easily jump in there. Anything you want to add before we slip on out of here?
Twitch and Twitter, Deagin RS.
Nice.
That's it, though.
All right.
Nothing else.
That's it. So I guess that's it for the show this week, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and tune in next week for the next one.
Yep. Have a good one.
Yep. Again, thanks for your emails and your messages sent in. Always appreciate that shit. All right, guys, take care. Have a good one.